Well, we've got the usual brake tapping going on around the loop downtown this time of day. Folks trying to get home. It is particularly heavy over there on the west loop as you are 65 northbound to get over to the 24 split. And seeing some pretty heavy buildup right now eastbound 440 there between 65 and 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, kids. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day and another week on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased you decided to join us this Monday, April 4th. Man, tomorrow is tax day. Hope everybody's got their filings in. I paid over the weekend.
Yeah, me too.
I'd already filed, but I wait to pay.
I like how it said whenever the file was completed, you submitted it, it says, congratulations. And then it tells me how much money I owe them. Like, thanks a lot. Just rub it in, why don't you?
Did you do you did the online payment format?
Yeah.
I did too. I didn't notice golly, I should have noticed that. Did it say congratulations? It probably did.
Yeah. I didn't do it. My wife did, and let's see if I can find it real quick. She sent it.
Congratulations. Ken Weaver, congratulations. You made it through another weekend. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing all right, boys. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, everything going well?
Yeah, it's going good.
What's happening in the news? I guess I need to know that in order to do the radio show today.
Let's see here. Well, this fella out of Maryland that was deported last month to El Salvador, it doesn't look like he's going anywhere fast.
Listen, the Supreme Court said we need the U.S. needs to do everything it can to facilitate reentry, right? Right. I mean, that's what they said.
That's what the Supreme Court said.
And Donald Trump said to the El Salvador guy, he was in the White House today.
President,
right?
Yes, President.
Bukele. Is it? Say it again.
Bukele. You just call him Bukele.
President B.
There you
go. So President B from El Salvador.
Yeah, Nayib Bukele.
Great googly moogly. When I can't pronounce it, I say he's President Great Googly Moogly from Sanford and Son.
That old boy that runs El Salvador.
Yeah, oh yeah. We like him. He's cleaned that joint up. In all seriousness, if you don't know the story of how all of that has gone down, y'all need to look into that story because the El Salvadorian people finally got tired of it enough that they elected somebody that said, I'm going to clean it up. And he cleaned it up. And were some due process rights violated in the process? Maybe. But you know what? You know what the El Salvadorian people said? Thank you. Mm-hmm. I mean, they cleaned that crap up. Did you find it?
Yeah, I did, actually. I got the picture she sent me. Congratulations. And it was cut off. I can't read the whole thing. But congratulations, exclamation point. Now sit back and relax while the IRS, I guess, processes.
Takes care. I remember the relax.
Right under that, it says federal return X dollars owed. Like, okay, thanks.
I need to see if I got did I get an email? I think I did. After I did it over the weekend, I got to go back and look. Oh yeah, payment confirmation. Thank you for using Pay 140 1040's online payment service. I don't think I got a congratulations in my receipt. Hey,
well,
typically it takes the IRS 5 to 7 business days to post this payment to your account. I was pretty proud of the accounting practices of Murphy, and Murphy, because we got it down to I owed the IRS, and we knew this for a month or two. We owed the IRS $347, and I don't like to pay them money early.
Yeah.
But I don't like to pay too much at the time you have to pay. So if I can keep it at under $500, I'm all good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You did better than I did.
Well, yeah, we don't make those big producer bucks over here in the host studio there, Weber. Anyway, Ken Weaver, I'm glad you had a good weekend.
Yeah, I did. It was a lot of fun. I got out in the sun, enjoyed that thoroughly yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yesterday was incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
That's how you draw it up right there.
That's exactly right. Although I would ask for, just a little bit less pollen and allergy causing.
Yeah, well.
But you know what? That's what makes the grass grow. I suppose that's what makes the bees buzz, and I can't complain too much about it. Being out in it, I did a little grass cutting. By the way, if I look, if y'all are watching on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, if at any point I look like I got the shakes, or I perhaps am in need of a fix, it's because I got a haircut this morning, and I have yet to have a shower since the haircut, and so I'm going to be kind of
hate that.
Scratchy, itchy.
Yeah. Seems like no matter how much they wrap around your neck,
Jamie tried.
Gets down in there.
It gets down in there. Jamie did his best. Jamie has continued to correct that which the singing barber destroyed, and I appreciate his hard work. It took 2 cuttings to get it to a place where I think it's going to be all good.
Feel good about it now?
I feel better about it. Okay. Although it doesn't really have any, I feel better about it. Yes, right. I feel good about it. Jamie's a good man.
Very good.
And Jamie, if you're listening, thank you for listening. Jamie from out in California way came to Tennessee, loves his life in the state of Tennessee. He and his wife just bought a little farm property out in Columbia.
Yeah, very
and
good.
He's working in Brentwood as a hairstylist. So, hey, Jamie, how are you?
Yeah.
Hope you're listening. Anyway, lots to get into on this Monday edition. Not Masters related. I'm not going to talk golf. I'm not going to bore you with it. Although, if you like it, you enjoyed it. I mean, people that even don't like golf typically will tune in on a Sunday afternoon to see what's going on. And there's always, if you enjoy competition, there seems to be always some high drama happening at the Masters. Did you catch any of the Masters?
Was that over? Did I miss it?
You missed it. Weber.
Dagnabbit.
I'll remind you next year.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll get you next year. Ken Weaver, did you catch any of the golf on the TV?
Saw some fella crying afterward.
He did. He bawled like a little baby.
Yeah,
That's a big weight off his shoulders.
Did he twist his ankle? Is that what happened?
He did not. He did not. Oh, he tugged at our heartstrings, our very heartstrings, Weber. He'd been trying for this thing for a long time, and he finally got it.
Got a cute little girl.
He does have a cute little girl. Poppy is her name.
Little Poppy.
Little Poppy. He was very excited about hugging her neck after winning. Rory McIlroy, for those you uninitiated folks out there who haven't learned, won the Masters, and this was the completion of the Grand Slam. It's only been done like 6 times in golf history. It's a pretty big deal, and he's been trying for a long, long time to accomplish it. He needed the Masters in order to do it, and he finally got it. I was kind of rooting for the other guy. It's just it's just the way I roll. I'm going to run counter to the prevailing wind on most things. And when most people were gravitating to Rory McIlroy, they were kind of wishing for that to happen because he's kind of an older school guy. Well, he's not even an older school guy. He's only 35 years old. I guess he's a popular player. Because of the gravity toward him, I'm going to go the other way. And I kind of like Bryson DeChambeau anyway.
I like that name. DeChambeau.
DeChambeau. Well, he kind of stepped in his DeChambeau.
Oh.
In other words, he didn't do well.
Didn't do well.
No, he kind of stepped in it. But that's all right.
Better luck next year.
That's right. You know what? He's still a multi-gajillionaire, so what do I care?
He'll be all right.
Were there any surprising up-and-comers?
Surprising up in that Oberg, there's a Swede named Oberg that's a pretty big name, big up-and-comer name. He's pretty big. I was kind of rooting for the old school Justin Rose, Ken. He's old in golf terminology. He's 44. Old, I tell you.
Surprised he could walk the course.
I know, and he got in a playoff with Rory McIlroy because Rory McIlroy desperately wanted to lose the tournament and kept trying to lose the tournament. He hit a – once again, I'm trying not to talk about this, but I'll do it. It was a shot that I could hit. It was like an 80-yard pitch shot. He intentionally laid up on a par 5 because he was 4 shots ahead, wanted to play it safe.
Yeah.
Don't take any risks. So he lays up on the par 5, and then the 80-yard layup, he dumped that in the water.
Good grief.
It was like 30 yards offline, and everybody in the world went, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And he tried to, boy. He missed a 4-foot putt to win the tournament on the 18th hole, had to go to a playoff. And then, something kicked in, and he drilled one to about 2 feet to win it in overtime, or not overtime, sudden death. And that is, as they say, sports on the talk station on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've more important matters to talk about, although, I like the Masters. It's pretty important. when do y'all think Marsha Blackburn is announcing that she's running for governor? I would have expected that it would have happened by now. Wouldn't y'all have? I mean, everybody knows it, right? I mean, it is the biggest unkept secret in Tennessee politics. There's a reason why only one person has announced their candidacy for governor for the state of Tennessee. I mean, obviously, Governor Bill Lee will enter his final year. I mean, I guess technically calendar year starting in well, I guess it is January, but final year's next year. We vote. You know, I'm not sure when we vote because I think it's different presidential years versus non-presidential years, but I want to say it's August when the primary is, and I could be wrong on that. Y'all correct me on the super text line because I know you do. One way or the other, we've got about a year to go before primaries we are in the thick of primaries. So the expectation would be that if people had not already announced, they're late to the game. However, nobody's announcing because everybody knows that Marsha's going to announce. Now, John Rose ain't scared. And John Rose is going all in, which begs the question, who's going to replace John Rose in the 6th district of the state of Tennessee? And third question I had over the weekend as I was sitting watching the Masters, or I guess I was actually thinking about this while I was cutting the grass. Because there I am cutting the grass in the 5th Congressional District. And there I am thinking about the representation that I do or do not have in the 5th Congressional District. And there I sit thinking to myself, I wonder if anyone's going to primary Andy Ogles and whether or not that's something that someone would want to happen. I mean, obviously, I don't know that Andy is that threatened by a Democrat in that race in the 5th Congressional District, although I say that when the Democrats have put something of a target on his back, in as much as they call the 5th Congressional District in the state of Tennessee winnable for the Democrats. Now, I think it's probably a 60-40 split at least, if not a little more, leaning Republican versus Democrats. I just wonder if someone might throw their hat in the ring and challenge Andy Ogles, feeling as if perhaps he's not well representing the people of the 5th Congressional District. Andy Ogles lost me a little bit. He's lost me a lot. And, I mean, if Andy walked into this studio right now, I would say nice things to him. I'd say, hello, Andy, how you doing? I appreciate you. But he's not doing anything but performative measures. And this idea that Donald Trump has the ability to serve a third term is garbage. I don't even disagree with term limits for the president of the I don't even agree with term limits for the president of the United States of America, and I can still say that, right? So we got that going on. We do have the president of El Salvador who was in town. I've got a piece of audio or two for you in that regard. We have this love affair with a killer in so much as there are members of the mainstream media, or at least former members of the mainstream media, saying that it is completely understandable why people are drawn toward this Mancioni fella. This guy that killed another human being in cold blood. You know, this guy that walked up and in a cowardly fashion shot a man twice in the back, killing him, leaving a daughter fatherless, leaving a wife husbandless. I don't give a damn what you think about what he does for a living, in so much as it is a legal job. The amazing thing are the number of people that are lionizing Mangione to the point that they consider him a hero. I've got some audio on that front, too. But we're going to start with immigration today on The Murphy Show. I think a lot of things on the weekends. You know, I'm doing my thing, and these thoughts pop in my head. And it popped in my head over the weekend. I was thinking about the levels of immigration during the Biden administration and the levels of the levels of illegal immigration during the Biden administration and the levels of illegal immigration now. And even if you do not believe the numbers are accurate, the percentage drop is. And we saw thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people crossing the southern border during the Biden administration. Over the last couple of years of the Biden administration, we were told the same thing repeatedly by President Joe Biden, by any of his minions, by the Health and Human Services Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. I could have gone further, but I know people get annoyed. One of these days, I'll give you the full-throated Mayorkas. I think I could go 2 minutes.
Just let me know. I'll put a stopwatch on it.
I will.
Take you a deep breath beforehand, Brother Murphy.
Anyway, so we heard from Biden, from Mayorkas, from Harris, from anyone in the Biden administration with a microphone in front of them, the same message. That, well, there's nothing we can do. We're so sorry that all of these people are entering illegal into the United States of America, but we're doing all we can. There's nothing we can do. We have to have the Republicans in Washington, D.C. do something. That's right. The Republicans in Congress have to allow us to do more. If the Republicans would do this and the Republicans would do that, oh boy, immigration of the illegal variety would be a thing of the past. It is the biggest lie told by the Biden administration. Perhaps. That's a laundry list of big lies. There are a lot of them to choose from. And it is of no consequence to the mainstream media that they were lying for this length of time. It is a testimony to how shoddy they are at their jobs, as they describe them. It is a testimony to how in the bag most in the mainstream media, 90% of the mainstream media, they are totally in the bag for the leftist in this country, for the Democrats in this country. They are mouthpieces. They are sycophants. They are a part of the Democratic Party in that regard. I'm talking MSNBC, of course. I'm talking, of course, #NeverCNN, New York Times, to a lesser degree nowadays, the Washington Post, because I think Jeff Bezos has got a little bit of religion going on. And on they go. All of the alphabet soups, ABC, NBC, CBS, all of them. They are in the tank for the Democrats. And at the time, they were in the tank for the Biden administration. And they knew. Here's what's as frustrating as anything. They knew dang well he was lying then, and they refused to tell you. And they know, sure enough, he was lying now because the proof's in the pudding, and they won't go back and revisit it because, oh, Matt, that's in the past. Well, I'm not afraid, and we're going to revisit it. It's 22 after the hour. Your telephone calls. It is a fiery Monday. Glad to have you with us. Ken Weaver's in the newsroom. Chris Weaver's behind the glass, and my name is Matt Murphy. This is The Murphy Show.
Murder outside of Nashville Elementary School. This story and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 7 o'clock tonight, along with Ken, along with Chris. You on the phones as well. Would love to hear from you on this action-packed Monday. We've got a little immigration talk. My goodness gracious. Did y'all see the Gretchen Whitmer photograph in the White House?
She wasn't there. I didn't see her.
I mean, if you've not seen it, somehow Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan found herself. She got invited to the White House for some reason. I have no idea what it was for. And she was in there. The photographers were in there. The cameras were in there. At some point, Donald Trump, I remember this from Friday, he referenced her, and she made some sort of comment. But then someone tried to take her photograph in the Oval Office of the White House, of the President of the United States of America, and she put her folder in front of her face and hid.
I'm not here. Can't see me.
Oh, it was she played a game of peekaboo.
Oh my goodness!
With the American people, Ken Weaver, and I thought it was just very very amusing. And I put up on at Matt Murphy Show. You can follow me on the X Machine at Matt Murphy Show. I put up my caption of the photo, Ken. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not seen it.
She's got a nice like royal blue top on, and her folder is kind of a navy blue, and she's putting the folder up above her face. And my caption is, Grok, show me Trump derangement syndrome in one photo. And that's what it is, boy. I don't...
Sure, she's not just, reading some instructions or something like that, Brother Murphy.
Oh, well, maybe she's just a little, what would that be? Nearsighted.
Could be. Yeah.
Got to get right.
Could be. Yeah.
Right up close. It took me a while to find it on the X Machine because I apologize. When there are major sporting events that I'm interested in, I turn my X Machine into a running commentary. And some people like it and other people hate it. But, there's a lot of running commentary. Oh, speaking, y'all know we got a brand new presidential candidate in the mix.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of sports, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
Mm-hmm. Y'all, do you understand how pathetic this makes the Democrat Party look? I mean, seriously.
And he doesn't really sound like he really wants to do it.
He's like, well, I guess. I mean, if y'all ain't got any, I mean, I've got the clip on ABC this week, and they couldn't even pull out the big guns. They got the substitute host in there, Jonathan Karl, and so Stephanopoulos didn't even show up. And they asked him, hey, what about it? And he's like, well, I mean, if y'all ain't got, I suppose. I don't really. He actually said, I don't really want it, but you know what? If y'all don't have anybody else, what am I supposed to do?
Sounds like when on the weekends when the wife asked me to do something. Well, I guess. I mean, you ain't got nobody else to do it. I guess I can handle it.
Baby, do you want to go to this art and crafts show?
Is it football season?
No.
Well, that changes things, Ken.
Well, that's where I go.
I guess. I mean, and you think, what else do I have to do? Stephen A. Smith, I think, has about 100 million reasons to stay just where he is. Apparently, on a failing ESPN platform, he can still command $20 million a year, one way or the other. All right, news time, your calls, all of these stories on the table. It is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police have issued an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide. His estranged wife, the victim, identified as 52-year-old Nierka Alfonso Acevedo. Channel 4's Jordan James says it was a stabbing in the parking lot of an elementary school right before it opened this morning in Madison.
Investigators say Canito Raul Rubio Perez waited for his estranged wife to arrive at Chadwell Elementary. Once here, it's alleged that he stabbed the 52-year-old custodian to death. She was found by a staff member around 6 this morning. Metro Schools closed Chadwell Elementary for the day and moved classes to a nearby school. This incident has left those in the community on edge.
Now, Chadwell Elementary classes temporarily moved to the former Graymar Middle School on Joyce Lane today, but they'll reopen tomorrow with grief counselors present, according to Channel 4. A preliminary 5.2 magnitude earthquake striking Julian, California. 7 aftershocks, no reports of damage. This is basically in the San Diego area. Some of the shaking reportedly felt all the way up to L.A., but so far no reports of any damage or injuries or if there was any emergency response necessary. President Trump hosting El Salvador President Nayib Bukele at the White House. Bukele pledging ongoing support for Trump's deportation of illegal aliens with alleged gang ties. And Bukele says he will not return Kilmar Abrego Garcia. That's the man the Trump administration deported from Maryland a month ago for alleged MS-13 gang ties. Here's Catherine Falders.
There will be a hearing tomorrow in the district court where much of this will be addressed, but it does set up what could be viewed as the administration potentially defying an order from the Supreme Court, given they don't believe that the Supreme Court is saying that the administration needs to facilitate his return when they very clearly did say that in their order last week.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Boy, this is going to cause a backup. It looks like in Madison, 65 northbound has been closed due to a crash between Old Hickory Boulevard, exit 92, and Vietnam Veterans Boulevard, exit 95. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, when I go to the doctor, I want to consult with my physician about the things that are causing me issues, and I want to get to the bottom of them. I don't want something necessarily to cover them up as much as I want to eliminate the issue from my life as best we can. Now, sometimes that involves pharmaceuticals. Sometimes that involves pills and whatnot, but many, many times it does not. I appreciate a place like Grace Point Healthcare, where they focus on the whole body with a comprehensive medical approach, meaning they try to get to the root of the problem as opposed to treating the symptoms of a problem. They are a direct pay primary care physician here in our community, and that matters because you will pay less ultimately for your health care as a result. As a matter of fact, the basic Smart Care plan is only $69 a month, and that provides you unlimited office visits plus free basic labs and diagnostic testing. You'll know what you pay right up front, even if you are not a part of the basic Smart Care plan. At Grace Point, there's no long wait times. They don't believe in it. They just don't do it, and they don't schedule out 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Oftentimes, you can get in same day and certainly next day, even if you're a brand new patient. 599-6868 is the telephone number. Call for more information if you have any questions or to make an appointment today. 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Man, so much to get into today. We've got I've got a story for you about Panama City Beach that you probably, if you've been lately, will believe. The chief of police at Panama City Beach is now saying this is over. That y'all need to go on home, and y'all don't need to come back. The chief of police in Panama City Beach is done, and I don't blame him a bit. And he's now saying we've got to figure out a way to demagnetize our city as a place for spring breakers to go because this isn't working anymore. And I don't blame him a bit. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Bill Maher has talked about his recent meeting with the President of the United States. We'll get into that before the show's over. Ben Cunningham will stop by in about an hour. Ben Cunningham is a local tax advocate. He was a creator of the Nashville Tea Party or Tennessee Tea Party. I don't know which. But Ben has a few things to say about property taxes going up in the city of Nashville and in Davidson County. We'll discuss that. And somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 o'clock, we expect Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson to join us. Your calls, as always, all afternoon long on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Toward that end, Brenda is in Goodlettsville. Hello, Brenda. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. I just have a quick question, and you guys can tell me, dig into it a little bit. I heard something about they had extended the tax day from tomorrow until later on because of the flood for everyone. I'm not sure if that's correct, so I'll just keep listening. You can let me know.
I will absolutely let you know, Brenda. Is there a tax extension for 2025? The tax relief postpones various tax filings and payment deadlines that occur from April 20 postponement period. I'm not seeing anything about an extension, Brenda.
Here's Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, taxpayers in Carter, Claiborne, Koch, Granger, Greene, Hamblin, Hancock, Hawkins, Jefferson, Johnson, Sevier, Sullivan, Unicoi, and Washington counties. That deadline has been extended.
Okay. Until? Do we know?
Let's see here. I am not seeing that. Not seeing that. All I know is that according to this story, and there's a lot of people reporting on it, due to disaster areas, looks like it's now the May 1st deadline.
Is this for Helene?
I
would guess.
It may be for
the recent flooding.
See, these counties are in East Tennessee.
Right, that would have been Helene.
I'm thinking that's Helene. Yeah, so anybody else, I'm not seeing any other Tennessee counties that are exempt.
Well, there you go, Brenda. That's as best as we can assess. So those counties that Ken just mentioned, primarily over in East Tennessee, have some filing deadline extensions. But other than that, it doesn't look like those deadline extensions exist here in the Middle Tennessee area. We'll let you know if anything. If anybody has any additional information, we'll let you know on that. Marcia is next. Hey, Marcia, how are you?
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. I was just calling because when you first came on the air, you were talking about Marcia Blackburn. And once a year, the Tennessee Federation of Republican Women have Ladies' Day on the Hill. And today was that day. So everybody goes up and listens to the speakers talk about the great things they're doing. And then we reconvene at the Doubletree Hilton and have a great big huge lunch in the ballroom. And she was our keynote speaker. There were a lot of people wearing Marcia stickers.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked the lady that represents Knox County, she was at my table, if Marcia had declared, and she said, not officially. And I said, so you do anticipate it happening? And she said, very much so. So she got up and gave a roaring speech and all the things that needed to continue to be done. And I got the very distinct feeling that she definitely would be throwing her name in the ring very shortly. John Rose showed up as well, and he graciously stood and had his pictures taken with lots of different people. And so that's my reporting for today. Lots of activity on the Hill today.
Well, Ms. Marsha, thank you for that Marsha report from the Hill on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I don't think that there is a question that Marsha Blackburn, unless something wild and unforeseen were to happen, something that I wouldn't really want to contemplate, like a medical issue or something like that, unless something wild and unforeseen is to happen, Marsha Blackburn is running for governor. Marsha Blackburn, as a sitting U.S. Senator, gets to decide when she declares officially that she's running for governor. And obviously, she's going to be in consultation with her campaign team and other close advisors as to when she believes it is best to do that. That said, I was a part of the Davidson County GOP Reagan Day dinner just a few weeks ago. I emceed that event. Marsha was there. John Rose was there. I don't know if I guess John had officially announced, or maybe he had not officially announced by then. I can't remember if he officially announced that night or if it was soon after that. But there was Andy Ogles was there. John was there. Mark Green was not there, but he gave a video presentation. Anyway, a lot of local dignitaries and whatnot were there, and there were a lot of those stickers. I was asked to wear one, and I declined because I'm trying to remain, somewhat relatively neutral in the grand scheme of things. But there were folks handing out the Marsha buttons or stickers. I was very impressed by those because those don't have to mean anything, and they can mean everything. And without officially announcing that you're running for governor, if you're handing out Marsha stickers, one, it's kind of funny. Number two, it indicates your support for Marsha, whatever Marsha might be happy to do. So there is zero question in my mind that she's announcing. I'm curious when that will happen, because that opens up several questions. How long will she serve as a sitting United States Senator? I expect that she will serve as long as she possibly can. Will she give the responsibility of appointing the next U.S. Senator in the state of Tennessee to Bill Lee? She would have to resign early after Election Day but before Inauguration Day in order for that to happen. Or she could choose to resign moments before she took the oath of office. That is the most likely scenario, because what that would set up is let's say Marsha Blackburn runs and she wins the primary. That is a presumption that I'm going to make for the sake of this argument, but it is not, a fait accompli. She does that. She bests Rose and whomever else might throw their hat in the ring. Then she beats the Democrat, whoever that might be, the token loser in the general election. If she becomes the governor-elect, at any point between the time she becomes the governor-elect and she takes the oath of office, she can resign her Senate seat. Well, I suppose she could resign her Senate seat now if she wanted, but she's not going to do that. The question then becomes, does she resign her Senate seat prior to taking the oath? She has to do that. When is the big question, because if she does it early enough, Bill Lee will then be the appointing guy because he's the governor. And the governor is charged with the duty of appointing the next U.S. Senator should that vacancy occur. The other concept is that Marsha could wait until the 11th hour. She could resign her Senate post, take the oath of office as governor. She's now the governor of the state of Tennessee, and she appoints the next senator. And then if she did it that way, does that appeal to the voter? Do y'all like the idea of Marsha, should she become governor, being the one that makes the appointment for the next U.S. senator? That, I don't know if Tennesseans will like that much. I don't think it will impact how they vote in the primary, but I don't know that they would like that much. Stephen is next in North Carolina with a thought about illegal aliens. Hello, Stephen. How are you?
Hey, brother. Hey, here. I think Marsha should be the one that appoints. Just a quick comment on that end. That's just me. That's my thought. But I think I would like to see Marsha over Bill Lee make that appointment on that.
Okay.
on this guy, this El Salvadorian guy that they got from Maryland, and, you know, they got him in a prison down there now. All this back and forth has been going on. I held my nose and tuned in to MSNBC after the president of El Salvador was sitting in there with Trump today, and I watched that. And I just wanted to see what they were saying about all that. They are still, after the president of El Salvador bluntly told them, I'm not letting the dude out of prison. I'm trying to clean up my country. They are still out here trying to get this guy brought back into our country. You know, and I don't know what's wrong with them, but they're holding on to the fact that this dude is innocent and he's not connected to anybody. Well, my biggest thing is, if this guy is not connected to any gang, or he's just some innocent illegal alien that got taken away from his family for whatever reason, okay, well, why are they saying in his defense they don't want him to go down there because he's scared of MS-13 gang members harming him? Okay, well, if he was just an average Joe, why would he be worried about some gang members coming after him, you know?
Well, here's and I'm going to give the full-throated treatment on this in just a moment, Stephen, but here's the bottom line. Yeah. We did not walk ourselves into this problem overnight, and we're not going to get out of this problem wholesale by pussyfooting around what is going on. There are a lot of terrorists in our country, and, there are some that suggest that this guy was mistakenly, and thank you, Stephen, for the call, was mistakenly deported. The Trump administration is now disputing that. They don't believe that this was a mistake. They don't believe that the reporting is accurate, despite the fact that there was one lone member of the Trump administration that said it was a mistake. That member of the Trump administration has now been replaced, and according to Stephen Miller, that assessment was in error. Look, I don't want innocent people going to El Salvadorian prisons. I don't want American citizens going to El Salvadorian prisons. At the same time, I have a difficult time getting this much heartburn, worked up about this one individual. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the mainstream media didn't give a damn about Laken Riley. They don't care about the American citizen that is affected by the illegal drug trade. When's the last time CNN did a robust report on individuals impacted by the amount of fentanyl coming across the southern border during the Biden administration? When's the last time that ABC or CBS or NBC did reporting on the amount of American citizens who have had family members killed by illegal aliens who are in this country illegally because of the Biden administration? They number in the thousands. Not in the hundreds, but in the thousands, if not the tens of thousands. Combine that with the tens of thousands of people who are being killed by fentanyl overdoses and the like. So I have a difficult time getting my emotions worked up for this one individual that the media seems to be focusing on. And they're focusing on this person for one reason and one reason alone. It's because it's the one individual that they can point to that they claim was a mistakenly deported individual of the hundreds and thousands of individuals that are currently being deported. Criminal aliens in this country. This was activity that they didn't bother to report on or denied was going on to begin with. These are individuals who are in our country illegally committing acts against the American population, and they acted like it wasn't happening during the Biden administration. I'm not going to be lectured to by these people who ignored it during the presidential election, who acted like it wasn't happening, who happily reported that there was nothing to be done about it. And now you get your arm, now you act morally superior to me because of one individual that you claim was deported illegally? All of these holier-than-thou characters in the mainstream media can go straight to hell. It's 53 after the hour. It can be hard to find someone you trust when it comes to large home repairs like your AC. But if you've turned out that AC and it's not working properly, it's time to call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Maybe you need a second opinion on something that you've already been told, or if this is your first call, I would encourage you to make it to Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. They have the best value going, $125 maintenance plans. That's a top-end cost to you, and oftentimes it's less than that. At some point, you got to replace that AC unit, and if it's time to call Jeff Eddy. They're an elite pro partner with Ream, and if you're trying to make that decision, Jeff's going to give you the lowdown on exactly what's going on with your unit and what he can do to make it as efficient as possible over the next several months, and perhaps you can make it through this summer season. Give a call to 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.com. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and Dr. Stephen Poss has been helping our community in Middle Tennessee sleep better at night for many, many years. And some of you may know that Dr. Poss is retiring soon, but never you fear. Dr. Brian McLaughlin is with Dr. Poss, and he has been a part of the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center team for the better part of a year now. He understands you, understands how to help you in the same fashion that Dr. Poss always has. How do you do that? With an FDA-approved oral device that gently supports your jaw. You sleep better at night, you keep those airways open, and you breathe better and sleep comfortably throughout the night, and it cuts down on all, if not all, most of your snoring throughout the course of the night. Question is, how well do you sleep? Snoring is a symptom of sleep apnea, and sleep apnea can be a very serious health issue. So it's time to get checked. It's time for an oral appliance with Dr. Poss, Dr. McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Go to drposs.com. That's drposs.com for more information. It's the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
Got a criminal homicide warrant issued for a man police say stabbed his estranged wife to death outside a Nashville elementary school this morning. This story and more at 4 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. That's coming up in mere moments on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. We'll also continue taking your telephone calls. I'll give you the rundown on this fella. The Supreme Court last week said that President Donald Trump and his administration has to, quote, facilitate the return of a Maryland man who is in the United States of America illegally, but stopped short of requiring the government return him to the United States, because how are they going to do that anyway? We'll tell you the story of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, a Salvadorian who was deported on March 15th. He's from El Salvador. He got back to his country of origin. How about that? It is 4 o'clock on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police have issued an arrest warrant that charges 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide. His estranged wife, the victim, identified as 52-year-old Niurka Alfonso Acevedo. The woman was attacked in the parking lot of Chadwell Elementary School in Madison, where she worked as a custodian. The attack happening this morning around 6 o'clock. Police found her dead there. Police say Rubio Perez was waiting for his estranged wife to arrive, and that's when she was killed. He is on the run. Right now in Tennessee, no vote today on the undocumented students bill in the House. It was removed from the calendar, according to Channel 4's Brendan Tierney, who says hundreds marched downtown Nashville in protest of the legislation, which would allow Tennessee public schools to unenroll or charge tuition to teach illegal immigrant children.
It shows the power of the community, not just the immigrant community, but the whole Tennessee community. A lot of people are standing against this bill simply because they see the harmful impacts that will come long term.
Groups came in from Memphis, Knoxville, and even other states to show their support for the immigrant community. And they say they will be back up here at the Capitol whenever the bill does come up for a vote.
No word on when that will be. President of El Salvador telling reporters in the Oval Office today he will not send back the man the U.S. sent to his country last month, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, whom the Trump administration says was a member of MS-13, a charge that Garcia and his family deny. Overall, the administration is arguing one thing about the case in court, but other things in public, as we hear from ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
In court, the administration has said to the extent it's willing to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it would eliminate any barriers to entry on the U.S. side. But in the Oval Office, Attorney General Pam Bondi said this.
If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
In court, the administration has acknowledged it made a mistake in violating an immigration judge's order when it sent the man back to his native country. But according to top Trump aide Stephen Miller,
nobody was mistakenly deported anyway.
Yeah, Miller says that admission was made by a government lawyer who's now been taken off the case, a man Miller now calls a saboteur. 6 women back on Earth after launching in a capsule owned by space tourism company Blue Origin. It was the first all-female space flight since 1963. Alex Stone reports on what they're saying now.
Screams of joy on board Blue Origin's New Shepard. 6 women, including singer Katy Perry and TV host Gayle King, now back on Earth as astronauts. Journalist, author, and Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, saying,
"You look back at Earth, and it's like this beautiful jewel. It was quiet. It felt like it was breathing."
They had an 11-minute ride into space. They felt weightlessness and then descended back to Earth.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, looks like the right lanes are now blocked. 65 northbound between Old Hickory Boulevard and Vietnam Veterans Boulevard in Madison, so that's better than it was. And right now on 24 eastbound, police reporting a crash right there at 440. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk at 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, starting hour number 2 right now. Thank you for being around with us. 6 minutes after. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk, episode 789 today. It's also day 84 of the second term of Donald J. Trump. Man, oh man, he's getting it done, isn't he? The deported individual that was from El Salvador that came into the United States of America illegally, that the mainstream media is calling a mistakenly deported man, is not going to be returning to the United States of America anytime soon. I've got more on that coming up in just a moment. Your telephone calls, as always, 615-737-9986. But I start here. So first hour of the show, we were asked a question about a tax extension, and I have, from several of you, received this information from the IRS involving the state of Tennessee. Now, Ken Weaver gave us an initial batch of information involving several counties, and I'm going to follow up with this. All of Tennessee qualifies for disaster tax relief, according to the IRS, with various deadlines postponed until November 3rd. I'm reading, now this is dated April 14th. That's today. The Internal Revenue Service announced today tax relief for individuals and businesses in the entire state of Tennessee affected by severe storms, straight-line winds, tornadoes, and flooding that began on April 2nd, 2025. Those taxpayers now have until November 3rd, 2025, to file various federal, individual, and business tax returns and make tax payments. The IRS is offering relief to any area designated by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. That means that individuals and households who reside or have a business in Tennessee's 95 counties qualify for tax relief. The current list of eligible localities is always available on the Tax Relief in Disaster Situations page on irs.gov. The tax relief postpones various filings and payment deadlines that occurred from May 2nd to November 3rd. As a result, affected individuals and businesses will have until November 3rd to file returns and pay any taxes that were originally due during this period. This means, for example, that the November 3rd, 2025 deadline will now apply to individual income tax returns and payments normally due April 15th. 2024 contributions to IRAs and health savings accounts for eligible taxpayers. Quarterly estimated tax payments normally due on April 15th, June 16th, or September 15th. And then on it goes with some other examples of payroll and excise taxes that will not be due, as well as corporation and fiduciary returns that will not be due. So here's the deal. Yes, the caller was right, and I'm glad you called us, Brenda, because we got to the bottom of it, that apparently, as of today, the IRS is saying that any and all taxes normally due tomorrow, April 15th, you now have until November 3rd. According to irs.gov/newsroom, all of Tennessee qualifies for tax relief. All right, there's that. 615-737-9986. Then there is this. Earlier today, the president of El Salvador came by the White House and sat down with Donald J. Trump. Here's what a little of that sounded like, and I want 1,000% of this injected into my veins.
And we're very eager to help. We know that you have a crime problem and a terrorism problem that you need help with. And we're a small country, but if we can help, we will do it. And we actually turned the murder capital of the world, that was the journalists call it, right? Murder capital of the world, into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And, you know, sometimes they say that we imprison thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions.
Before Donald Trump talks about how much he likes that line, I want to just pause there. They like to say that we imprisoned thousands. I like to say that we liberated millions. That is the president of El Salvador, Bukele. He's exactly right. The mainstream media, because Donald Trump is in office, focuses on the few errors or the minor mistakes. They do not focus on the wild successes. I want to get into that in just a moment. But just listen to what this guy said. This is from El Salvador, and he is exactly right. El Salvador is a country that you wouldn't have gone to for $5 million. Just to step foot into that country was to put your life on the line. It was run by drug cartels. And President Bukele was elected on the promise that he would clean it up. And guess what he did? He cleaned it up.
Journalists call it, right? Murder capital of the world, into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And, you know, sometimes they say that we imprison thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions. So, you know, like...
That's very good. Who gave him that line? Do you think I can use that?
Yes. And in fact, Mr. President, you have 350 million people to liberate. Yeah. But to liberate 350 million people, you have to imprison some. You know, that's the way it works, right? You cannot just, you know, free the criminals and think crime's going to go down magically. You have to imprison them so you can liberate 350 million Americans that are asking for the end of crime and the end of terrorism. And it can be done. I mean, you're doing it already. And I'm sure that people have seen the change in the streets. A long way to go, because you're just initiating your second term. But it's clear that, you know, with the numbers at the border, you know, even in Democrat-run cities, they get a help from the work you're doing. So I'm really happy to be here, honored, and eager to help.
That is the El Salvadorian president, Bukele, speaking today before the White House, highlighting what the mainstream media will not. All they want to talk about is this individual that they claim was mistakenly deported. I'll get into him in just a moment. Instead of talking about the success rate of the Trump administration. I want to go back a little bit further and highlight this. Something that the mainstream media refuses to talk about and won't tell you. You know, it's a part of the mainstream media's deception on the American people that they do this. That they make these declarations or they accept the premises of the political left. And when their predisposition does not come to fruition, in other words, the left claims something is true, and when we discover that it's not true, the mainstream media never revisits it. They never step back and say, you know, that thing that we were promoting so vociferously 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, none of that came true. None of that was real. And we're sorry. Hell, I don't even want an apology. I just want an acknowledgement. 10 months ago, in the midst of a presidential campaign, Joe Biden stood before the American people. 11 months ago, maybe, around then. That was about 10 months ago when he left. He stood before the American people and said, I would love to do more about the illegal immigration problem, but I can't do anything. Joe Biden looked in front of the American people. He looked into your eyes, and he told you there was nothing that he could do. It was a lie. He knew there was more that he could do when he said it, and he said it anyway. And Chuck Schumer agreed with him. And Nancy Pelosi agreed with him. And Hakeem Jeffries agreed with him. And AOC agreed with him. And Bernie Sanders agreed with him. And Elizabeth Warren agreed with him. And all of those in the meeting. And I could just go on and on. Every Democrat. Oh, there's so much we want to do. Why won't the Republicans let us? Why won't the Republicans help us? They said. Oh, there's only so much I can do. The Republicans have got to free up some money. They wouldn't pass this bill that would help us, and we would get the border under control. We would do something about it. I love the American people, and I love, we're going to help Laken Riley. We're going to help her family. It was all a lie. And Kamala Harris, the reason that they got their butts whipped in November is because we're smarter than the mainstream media gives us credit for. Now, you tell me, in 84 days of this presidency, what has Congress done to facilitate what's happening at the southern border? Not a thing, because they don't need to. What has Congress done to stop the illegal crossings? What has Congress done to stop the illegal drug trade? What has Congress done to stop the criminal behavior in our inner cities? What has Congress done to deport illegal aliens? What has Congress? They haven't done a damn thing. No, nothing. Donald Trump did it. Donald Trump did it. Now, will mistakes be made in a system this large? Sure. I would have expected more by now. Honestly. With a problem this big, with a situation as dire as it has become. Joe Biden became president in January of 2021, and they threw out the welcome mat to the rest of the world. And they did not say, bring your tired and your hungry and your huddled masses. They said, bring your worst. Do your worst. And many of these nations did, sadly. And hell, they don't want them back. Of course they don't want them back. These aren't their producers that came into the United States of America for the large part. Now, look, I have feelings for people who are born in other countries who want to aspire to the greatness of the United States of America. I'm on record as saying, there but for the grace of God go I. If I were born in another country and all I had to do was break one criminal law that I consider to be victimless, in order to get to the United States of America, I'd do that in a heartbeat. But you know who comes along with me? The bad guys. The bad guys that are drawn to America because of the money and because of the opportunity to do bad guy crap. I'm sorry, I got a potty mouth today. I apologize. I'll try to clean it up. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And for I just want to revisit it, but the last year of our lives, we were told by ABC and CBS and NBC and #NeverCNN and all of them, these same networks that won't let this one guy go, this one case has become the face of all of this for them. They won't talk about the good. They won't talk about the criminal behavior that's being stopped. They won't talk about the illegal alien criminals that have been deported. They won't talk about the lives that have potentially been saved as a result of the activity. They won't talk about the lack of border crossings at the southern border. Did you know, for example, illegal southern border crossings are down 98%? 98%. When's the last time you heard the mainstream media give that statistic? I think today in the White House, they said, the figure that I saw was 98%. They said 99.1% today in the White House. So sure, I'll go with their figure. 99%. And nobody's reporting on it. Why? Honestly, with a success rate like that in less than 3 months, I don't care what you think about this issue. I don't care who you voted for. Is that not news? Is it not news that illegal border crossings have gone down in 3 months 99%? Is that not news? Apparently it's not news. Because in order for it to be news, you have to address the fact that Joe Biden said that it could not be done. The liberals told us that it could not be done. Alejandro Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and all the rest. And the media went, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it can't be done. They said it can't be done, so it can't be done. And in less than 3 months, the man's doing it. Why? Because he wants to. This country can accomplish anything we want, if we want. I am infuriated. And I know it's reflecting on my show, and I don't mean to yell at you. I mean, y'all know better than anybody the manner in which they treat this subject. They act as if this wasn't an issue, and the only story to tell is the story of this one dude who, by the way, they won't tell you his full story either. Because this guy's not in the country legally. He never has been. They're hanging on they're hanging on the fact that he was given a pass in 2019 based on asylum laws that never should have been into place to begin with. And the Supreme Court did not say that we had to bring him home. The Supreme Court said, well, if they let him go, you have to facilitate his return. In other words, you have to provide him, a plane ticket. I don't know. I'll give you more on this guy in a moment, the only one that they want to focus on. We'll also take your telephone calls, 615-737-9986. Just remember how effective. I do believe in the first of 90 days, outside of DOJ, outside of trying to get our hostages back out of Israel, or, with the Israel-Hamas conflict, Ukraine, Russia, everything else that's going on, the tariff game and attempting to right-size our trade imbalance, of everything that the Trump administration is trying to handle. And I just gave you the tip of the iceberg there. There has been no better success than our southern border and tackling illegal immigration. And the mainstream media will not talk about it. But we will on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, I'm excited to tell you about an incredible jewelry buying event everyone is waiting for, April 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's the Genesis Diamonds event of the year, and it's 3 days only. Unbelievable store-wide savings. I told you last week that you can believe that when Genesis Diamonds tell you there's a sale, it's really a sale. Well, now I have up to 35% off some of the items in the store, and the selection is like double the norm. They have top bridal designers coming in to showcase all of their new collections. It is a beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces at the store, including all new engagement ring mountings. It is more jewelry than you've perhaps ever seen in one place, right at Genesis Diamonds, at prices you never thought possible. I'm talking about rings and earrings and pendants and bracelets and bands, stunning fashion jewelry that you will not find anywhere else. You can check out thousands of engagement ring settings in gold and platinum, all happening in the store, savings up to 35%. April 25, 26, and 27. Wait for it at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are experts in their field at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They believe in what they do, and they do it the right way. I made the switch, and I want you to as well. To Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, I put my seal of approval on this. And here's the deal, folks. I love the fact that they recognize that old 47 did not give up on us, and in that spirit, they're not giving up on him. In honor of our 47th president, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. It's the big 47 offer of 2025. And you don't even have to tell them who you voted for. That's okay. It's good for everybody. 47% off in 2025 in honor of old 47. 615-246-5009 is the telephone number to get involved. That's 615-246-5009. Here's the deal, folks. If you hurt, you want to try to treat that pain as best you can without considering surgery. It's what they do with Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley and the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Go online to painisbad.com to find out more. That's painisbad.com. I'm Matt Murphy, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval.
Murder outside a Nashville school and tax days tomorrow for most Americans, but not Tennessee. Details at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I've already paid mine, Ken Weaver. I wonder if I can get that money back and hold on to it till November.
I'm sure you could, Brother Murphy. Yeah, just call them up.
Just call them up. Hey, I want my $350. Give me my $350 back. Hold on to that till November.
A representative will be with you shortly. Your current estimated wait time is 40 years.
Exactly. Nailed it, Brother Chris.
That's exactly right, Weber. Oh, yeah, you'll get your money back. Just give us a second. We'll talk to you later.
Well, now, if it's you who owes the money,
oh, boy,
they'll get somebody on you right away.
Oh, well, it might take them a second, but, Ken, we're going to have to talk about penalties and interest.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're at the federal government, they're big on the old penalties and interest. It's my understanding. 28 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This from the Super Text line. You're always invited to join us on the Super Text line at 615-737-9986. I transcribe immigration court hearings. Some of the stories do break your heart. The majority of aliens seeking asylum due to gang violence, which is not a valid claim for asylum. Valid claim for asylum. I feel for them, but you must do it the right way. Get in line. There's currently a backlog of 5 million asylum cases, the majority of which are bogus. Trump was left with no choice. He's doing an incredible job keeping this country safe. I agree wholeheartedly from 92.96. Michelle in Clarksville has a thought about Trump's job. Hey, Michelle.
Hi. Sorry. So, I think our president is doing an awesome job. And it's because he is understanding that we're kind people, but the money's got to come back to the home ground. So he's bringing stability back into the country, in which we were losing with the last left that was out there. So our president now is understanding that, and I'm on the committee, but it's stability that's coming back to our country. To where our money is coming back to us, our tariffs are being equalized, and we're doing the right thing for the country. And I think that is so important, since we have been digging all through the with what Musk is doing and helping us out, and all of the president's constituents and friends, really. To help bring stability back to the country and to make it look right again. And we've been missing that for, so long. And so that's what I wanted to share, is that I'm so glad that our president is back, and he's blessing our country.
Michelle, thank you for calling. God bless you. Appreciate you up in Clarksville. I feel like I might have caught Michelle eating something right at the beginning of the conversation.
I thought you were going to ask her what she was eating.
I started to, but I decided not to.
It's never happened to me.
I was trying to play nice. No, Ken Weaver never gets caught between a bite over there in the newsroom. Speaking of the newsroom, it's time to go over there and check on those headlines that he just teased on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Tax days tomorrow for most Americans, but not Tennesseans. Due to deadly storms this month, the IRS says Tennessee taxpayers will have until November 3rd, 2025 to file federal, individual, and business tax returns and make tax payments. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police addressing safety in the neighborhood around Chadwell Elementary School in Madison. It's where a custodian was stabbed to death this morning before school.
This was a targeted, isolated incident. We don't believe that there's any danger to the community beyond what occurred here this morning.
Metro Police issuing an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide in the death of his estranged wife, 52-year-old New Yorker Alfonso Acevedo. And over at the state capitol, the bill to allow Tennessee schools unenroll or charge tuition to illegal immigrant students was pulled from the calendar ahead of a hearing in the House today. No word on whether it's been rescheduled, but the hundreds of protesters who marched in downtown Nashville against it say they're going to be back. And the president of El Salvador telling reporters in the Oval Office today he will not send back the man the U.S. sent to his country last month, despite an immigration judge's order that says he should not have been deported to his home country. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
The White House has been arguing one thing on television and a very different thing in court. On TV, administration officials now say that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not wrongly deported, that he was involved in human trafficking, that any right he might have had to stay in this country ended when the president deemed MS-13 a terrorist organization. But they've said none of that to judges. In its unanimous holding last week, the Supreme Court deemed Abrego Garcia's deportation illegal, and it said the administration must facilitate his return.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Woodbine, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound at 440. And in Madison, still a little bit of a slowdown from an earlier crash. That was 65 northbound between OHB and Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Right now at Rivergate, TDOT reporting the left lane is blocked by police activity. Going to be 65 southbound near Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, fellas, have you felt your head lately? I mean, you're the head, right? I mean, like, I have a lumpy head, and I knew that I had a lumpy head. And so when I reached out to PAI Medical, the We Grow Hair people, mine was for a purpose. I needed to make sure that I wasn't losing my hair, because if I lose my hair, then the lumpy head becomes exposed, right? I mean, and I'm being serious. And I went into them, and they said, you know what, Murph, we think you're good. I mean, for a 51-year-old fella, you're doing pretty good on hair loss, but we've noticed some thinning around the crown. We need to do something about that. And I immediately jumped on the PRP laser treatment, which is in and out in 45 minutes. These treatments work. It thickens and gets your hair even fuller. It restores your hair. It restores your confidence that you don't have to worry about losing it. Now, if you're a little further along, don't you worry, because they've got the ARTIS robotic FUE procedure, the multi-unit hair grafting procedure, both guaranteed to work, and both designed to give you 2 times the amount of hair in one procedure. Friends, whatever stage you're in, you can gain confidence, self-esteem. Go to the best. Go to PAI Medical, the We Grow Hair people. For generations, they've been in the Nashville area, and they're here to serve you. 615-376-6010, 376-6010, or WeGrowHair.com. I won't say that this is stuck in my craw, but it kind of is. I'm tempted to save this to nincompoops in the news. But is it bothering anybody else that they're calling these 4 women that went up into space the crew?
They were just passengers.
They're not crew.
Yeah.
The crew.
Yeah,
the crew.
That is a little bit like, come on.
An all-female crew. Crew? What y'all doing? What y'all doing in there? Y'all crewing? Y'all aren't crewing. I don't think you're crewing. Crowing, maybe. Cooing, perhaps. Peeing a little, maybe. But crewing? I don't think so. More on that in the 5 o'clock hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Right now, we turn our attention to the Matt Murphy Show hotline, where Ben Cunningham awaits. He is a local tax advocate. He was one of the originators of the Nashville Tea Party. He was instrumental in preventing a state income tax in the state of Tennessee some years ago. He's a good friend of the show, and he joins us on the Murphy Show hotline to talk about what's coming down for Davidson County. Ben, good to talk with you. How are you, sir?
Hey, Matt. Doing great. Happy pre-tax day.
I know. We got an extension, Ben. That's
yes, I heard that. I did not know that. Man, to November. Sweet.
Woo! I mean, hallelujah. And look at me. I've already paid my $300 and some odd on top of what I already prepaid, obviously. Well, look, we don't have to worry about state income tax in the state of Tennessee, partially because of you. So thank you for that on behalf of everybody, Ben.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was a great effort and fun, and we put it in the Constitution, and we don't have to worry about it now. So, and there's a constitutional amendment coming up. I think you've talked about it, where they're trying to outlaw a statewide property tax, which is a good thing, and hopefully that'll get through the next ballot.
No, we certainly hope so, and I believe that it will get at least to the ballot. I think it has gotten enough on the second reading. This is the second time around, which is what the Constitution, it's my understanding, requires to get something like this on the ballot. So hopefully it'll get before the people, and I think if it does, the people will do the right thing and codify that in the Constitution. I wish I could say the same thing about property tax increases in Davidson County, but I can't. Ben, you and I have talked about our mayor, Freddie O'Connell, several times, and we discussed the transit tax. Sadly, that became a reality, but I don't know that Freddie's going to get the amount of money that he anticipated from the feds in terms of grant dollars out of this transit tax deal. And I think that perhaps, I don't know if it impacts his decision on what he's going to do with property taxes, but I think it certainly solidifies it in a bad direction. Just give me a lay of the land as you see it in Davidson County.
Absolutely. He's already talking about that. He's talking about, and the members of the council are talking about it, the fact that the federal grants are not going to be there because we're running a $2 trillion federal budget and we got to cut spending. But yeah, he's already talking about that. There's a lot of pressure. Nate Rao is a reporter for Axios and has covered Metro government for a long, long time. And he was on a podcast the other day, and they're asking him over under about the tax increase. Do you think it'll be over 20% or under 20%? He said, now this is a guy that's been covering Metro for a long time. He said over 20%.
Oh wow!
He thinks the tax increase will be over 20%. And you know, Freddie's got all these constituents he's got to pander to, all the far left folks that are going to want more money. You're right about transit. He's not going to get the 25 or 30% of the funding they anticipated to come from the federal government. So he's going to be crying about that. And we're going to get into a doom loop here in Davidson County. And that's what concerns me. People, if you look at the migration statistics, people have been moving out of Davidson County, net out migration since 2016. In 2021, 18,000 more people moved out of Davidson County than moved into Davidson County. And we're seeing the same kind of doom loop that we see in other of these Democratic urban areas. And he's going to have so much pressure on him to increase property taxes. We have got to stand up to this man, because we're going to get in the same situation that these other urban areas are in, where you have the super rich living and who can afford to stay, and you have the very poor who can't afford to move.
And the middle class
gets hollow out the middle class.
Middle class gets the heck out of there. And I would note, and you well know this, Ben, I mean, Davidson County loses population in the midst of a boom for the metro region. I mean, it's not as if Williamson County and Murray County and Wilson County and Sumner County, I mean, these are places that are not suffering. They're growing by leaps and bounds, in part because of the numbers of people that are moving out of Davidson County.
Yeah, Rutherford, Sumner, Williamson, Wilson, they're all growing at about 3 times the rate. Davidson County is growing slightly because of international migration and, of course, natural births and deaths, but the out-migration, when people move to within the United States, when you look at what's called domestic migration, people are moving out. Another place they're moving out of is Memphis, another Democratic stronghold. People are just moving out of Memphis in droves. It's not quite as bad in Davidson County, but it will be as bad. I mean, we've had a 34% increase in Davidson County in 2021, just 3 years ago, a 34% increase, and we're looking at what will probably be a 20% plus increase. We won't find out about this until May 1. That's when Freddie makes his State of the Metro address, and we'll find out exactly what he's proposing then. But we have got to fight this, or we're just throwing away the future of Davidson County. And if you're in Davidson County, I'd choose to do 2 things. Choose between 2 options. Number 1, either move the hell out of Davidson County or fight this tax increase, because you're going to have to move out at some point if the taxes keep going up. And we see this again and again. They hollow out the tax base. You have to raise taxes. And it just again, you get in that doom loop, and all the liberals, all they can do is say, let's spend more money.
Right.
And Freddie's he's had trouble with the council on the license plate reader, on the police oversight board. All those issues have kind of put him crossways with the council. So he's going to try to please them as much as he can, and he's going to try to disregard the taxpayers. And the taxpayers of Davidson County have got to stand up on this.
It doesn't seem to me, Ben, to be a money problem. The state of Tennessee is financially solvent. The state of Tennessee manages its money properly. And Nashville is a breadwinner in terms of bringing in tourist dollars and bringing in other tax dollars. it has to be a spending problem.
It is definitely a spending problem. If you look at the spending, the revenue numbers from property taxes after the 34% increase in 2021, of course, property tax revenues exploded in Davidson County. They went up over the time period from 2014 to 2024. The cost of living went up 22%. The amount of revenue from property taxes went up 66%. The revenue from property taxes is going up 3 times the rate of inflation. This is not a revenue problem. Metro has plenty of revenue. They simply will not control spending. Thank goodness on the national level we've got DOGE now, and hopefully the Congress is going to show some spine and through the reconciliation process cut spending. And we've got to do the same reexamination here on locally. And by the way, Matt, there is a group that's being formed for not that I don't think they're calling it DOGE, but basically to look at the Metro budget very, very closely and see where these cost savings can be made. And if anybody's interested in getting involved in that process, they can just email me, ben@nashvilleteaparty.com, ben@nashvilleteaparty.com. And if you also will allow me to plug, there's a meeting tomorrow night. Americans for Prosperity is putting on a meeting in the Davidson County GOP at the rooftop table and tavern up on top of the Fairfield Inn at the Gulch from 6:30 to 8:30. And don't want to tempt people too much, but Americans for Prosperity is paying for the alcohol. So if you come, we'll get to discuss property taxes and might even get a drink on the tab of Americans for Prosperity.
You'll be there?
I will be there.
I know at least one other person who will be there. You know who that is?
Who is that?
That's me.
All right.
I've been asked to stop by right after the show, and so I'll be coming by a little bit tardy. You know, obviously I've got obligations until 7, but I should be there 7:15, 7:30. So I'll absolutely be there, and I absolutely support the effort. And while I do not live in Davidson County, I may at some point down the road, may not. It really depends on some of these decision-making, the decision-making process on the part of the local leadership. Now, here's the two-part question. What was the reaction? I was not here when the 34% increase went through under Cooper. What was the reaction immediately before and after? And then the follow-up is, what can we do about it, Ben, other than just watch, other than perhaps organize? I mean, help me understand the reaction. I fear that maybe Davidson County is too far gone in terms of those of us who want to manage our money in a proper fashion.
That is kind of the attitude of a lot of folks. People in 2020, 2021, when Cooper said he had run, again, we see this so many times, he had run saying, oh, no, we can't raise property taxes, got in the middle of COVID and raised property taxes. 34%. People raised hell, but the Metro Council passed it anyway. And I would tell people right now, if you are in Davidson County, write an email today, this minute, to mayor@nashville.gov, mayor@nashville.gov. Start letting your voice be heard. And also find out who your council person is and start emailing them and call them and say, we cannot have another property tax increase on top of the 34% and on top of the half-cent sales tax for the transit. If we have another one, we're simply going to drive more people out of Davidson County. And that's exactly what's going to happen. People are going to choose to move out of Davidson County. It's going to erode the tax base. It's going to put more pressure on the revenue side, and it's going to increase property taxes even more. And we see that again and again and again. Memphis just raised property taxes. They're in the doom loop. We see it in Chicago. Mm-hmm. We see it in Maryland. They just raised statewide taxes up there. In these Democratic strongholds, that's what they do unless people fight back. And we're here in red Tennessee. We ought to be able to stop this. And I sure hope people in Davidson County will. The first thing you do is email the mayor at mayor@nashville.gov.
And when
mayor@nashville.gov.
When you talk about that doom loop, Ben, I mean, you're right. I mean, it starts with the general population. When the population starts decreasing, they'll start going after the businesses hot and heavy. and the businesses will start leaving as well as the population decreases, and then you're in a hell of a mess.
Yeah, we see it in Chicago. They start pursuing other revenue sources. There's the euphemism. You're right, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And people finally say, "I've had enough. I'm getting the hell out of here." And a lot of people already have. They're moving to Rutherford. They're moving to Sumner. But Davidson County, we can't let this happen to Davidson County. We just cannot. We've got to stand up. This is Tennessee. This is red Tennessee. We've got to stop these ultra-left liberals from ruining Davidson County.
Ben, I will see you tomorrow night at the Fairfield Inn in the Gulch, and I encourage people to contact you, Ben, at NashvilleTeaParty.com. And give the mayor's email one more time just so folks can get it.
Very simple. Mayor, MAYOR, at Nashville.gov.
There you go.
Very simple. Write him an email.
And hopefully we'll see a big crowd tomorrow night. Ben, thank you for your tenacity on this issue. As always, it's a pleasure talking with you. We'll do it again next time.
Thanks so much, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, see you tomorrow. There's Ben Cunningham, tax advocate and one of the originators of the Nashville Tea Party. It's 51 after the hour on Super Talk. Had an opportunity to break bread with Shane Ring of Cover Nash today. Had lunch with Shane, talking to him about some of the opportunities coming along, and there's some exciting things happening with Cover Nash, and we're going to tell you all about them here in the next several days and weeks to come. But here's the bottom line for you. If you're unsatisfied with your current coverage and you don't know who to call, the last thing you should do is pick up the phone and call some 800 number, someone that you don't know at a call center somewhere far away. They're probably going to sell you a particular or attempt to sell you a particular type of product. Here's the deal. One, Shane is a local guy. He's right here in Brentwood. He is our local health insurance expert when it comes to helping you figure out the right plan for you and your family. Number two, Shane does not find himself beholden to any health insurance plan. That means he is shopping the entire market. He does not try to sell you a plan. He's not tied to insurance. He doesn't work for insurance. He works for, wait for it now, you. You are his customer, not the insurance companies. That's the wonderful thing about Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Don't wait to make this call. You can make it right now. If you're unsatisfied with your current coverage, if you have questions about your current coverage, or if you want to make a switch, the time is now. Cover Nash, 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or go to covernash.com. Book your appointment and create a health plan managed by you, not by the government, at Cover Nash. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for our buddies at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. It's time to go where the pros go. It is that time of year. I mean, if you're not cutting grass now, you will be soon. Stop into any Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. And, oh, by the way, don't forget to ask them about their Ferris line of mowers. They set the bar as the first and only manufacturer to integrate suspension into their mowers. It's pretty cool what they're doing at Ferris. And that is one component of the many, many things they're doing at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. I mean, obviously, now's the time of year for you to get something done with your turf, with your landscaping. You've got fertilizer available, seed available, pre-emergent available, herbicide available. It is this time of year, and it's time to get to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Look, you want to go where people know what they're talking about, right? Not to some big box where they may or may not know exactly what's going on. At Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, they are the professionals, and they have answers for you when you have questions. So they have locations in Nashville, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood Mower, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. I say go where the pros go, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, and it's true. Online, DickensSupply.com. That's DickensSupply.com.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Murder outside of Nashville Elementary School. Tennessee lawmakers advancing legislation to ban DEI hiring in state and local government and colleges. Got these stories and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We have a general consensus on the use of the term crew, and it's not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
what are they saying?
They're saying that if you're just along for the ride, you're not a part of the crew.
Good. Common sense.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
Right. Yeah, you can't be.
I mean, that's what I thought, too. But apparently, others disagree. Here's the big celebration. That's Gail King. She's kissing the ground. She's been kissing the ground Oprah walked on for years. So. Says Blue Origin's all-female crew included pop star Katy Perry.
I feel super connected to love.
This is, before we go any further, this is her takeaway flying into space. Katy Perry, it's like an 11-minute, you get weightless, and,
And space is kind of in air quotes. It's
close.
Space.
It's close. So whatever. I mean, I don't know. They're not
higher than we've been, I guess. But
they're not. I mean, it's high. Yeah, but they're not astronauts, right?
No, they are not.
They are not. They are space travelers.
Space travelers.
I'll give them space travelers. I mean, that's a pretty cool way to put it, right? Yeah. You're a space traveler. Yeah. Congratulations. What is Katy Perry's takeaway from space travel?
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Were they eating mushrooms on the way up there?
Did she lose her love on the way up?
I was getting ready to say.
That's not the only thing she's full of. I'm so full of love. You're full of something.
She's trying to up William Shatner. Remember, Bill Shatner got all emotional.
He did.
But I understand that. He was the captain of the Enterprise.
Well, that's right. He's captain of he's part of Star Trek.
Reduced to a little skinny ship called Blue Origin.
Huh. Looked like anyway, 4 ladies went up on it, and the crew returned safely afterwards. The crew.
You're just being hateful, Brother Murphy, because it's a bunch of women.
Well, I mean, they didn't need directions getting home.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police addressing safety in the neighborhood around Chadwell Elementary School. It's where a custodian was stabbed to death this morning before school.
This was a targeted, isolated incident. We don't believe that there's any danger to the community beyond what occurred here this morning.
Metro Police have issued an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide in the death of his estranged wife, identified as 52-year-old Nayurka Alfonso Acevedo. Tennessee closer to banning DEI hiring programs in the state. The dismantled DEI Act would make it illegal for state and local governments and colleges from hiring people based on their race, gender, sexual orientation, or other demographic characteristics. News 2 says it is being debated on the state Senate floor right now, with Republicans saying diversity is a wonderful thing, but it shouldn't come before merit.
I think a reboot's important to get back to the things that do exist in law, do exist in civil rights legislation, what the protections are afforded by law, not the ones we've fabricated out of cultural conversations on college campuses or in professional associations at a Holiday Inn.
But Democratic senators claiming banning DEI is racist.
Stop acting like you don't know what this is all about and deal with the reality of it. You are trying to put black folks back in a box, and I'm saying we're not going.
We're taking out things that prohibit government from discriminating against people. Like, we're removing that from the law. That's not anti-DEI, that's anti-civil rights.
Well, the News 2 says the bill has to get through the House before going to the governor, who can sign it into law. And right now, the bill's in the Senate. No votes in the House today on that undocumented students legislation that would allow schools to unenroll or charge tuition to illegal immigrant students. Hundreds of protesters had marched downtown to pressure lawmakers to kill it, but the bill was taken off the calendar ahead of any vote in the House today. Protesters say they'll be back. And in our nation's capital, President Trump hosting El Salvador President Nayib Bukele at the White House. Bukele pledged continued support of Trump's deportation of illegal aliens with alleged gang ties and says he is not going to return that Maryland man whom the Trump administration deported last month.
The White House has been arguing one thing on television and a very different thing in court. On TV, administration officials now say that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not wrongly deported, that he was involved in human trafficking, that any right he might have had to stay in this country ended when the president deemed MS-13 a terrorist organization. But they've said none of that to judges. In its unanimous holding last week, the Supreme Court deemed Abrego Garcia's deportation illegal, and it said the administration must facilitate his return.
Well, top Trump advisor Stephen Miller now rejecting the idea the government mistakenly sent Garcia back to his home country. Miller saying today that admission was made by a government lawyer who's now been taken off the case, a man Miller now calls a saboteur. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, Madison got a crash partially blocking the on-ramp from Briley Parkway to go northbound on 65. And in Woodbine, police reporting a crash on the right shoulder. That's going to be 24 eastbound right after 440. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Apparently, a lot of upset people, or some upset people, over in the General Assembly. I'll tell you why that is coming up in just a couple of minutes. Apparently, there have been some votes regarding the ability for Tennesseans to caucus as opposed to primary in the Republican Party. Share that with you coming up in just a couple of minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 8 minutes after 5. By the way, a primary is a far superior way of doing it. I'm not a member of that club. I don't belong to any clubs that would have me as a member, so I don't really have a say in any of that. But I would suggest to you that primaries are a far superior way of selecting a candidate above and beyond caucuses. Caucuses are antiquated ways of doing things of a bygone era, and anybody that is promoting a caucus is promoting a system that is designed not necessarily to represent the will of the people, but perhaps circumvent said same. And I'm just telling you the way that I see it. You might see it differently, and if you do, that's what this show is for. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, either via the phone lines or via Super Text. Several of you on the phones. We'll get to you in a moment. By the way, welcome to your 5 o'clock hour. Many of you just getting off work. Traffic, well, stinks. I could have used another word, but I chose not to because I'm trying to clean up my act, friends. You'll hear all about that during the 5 o'clock hour. You'll hear Ken Weaver on the newscast. You just heard him, as a matter of fact. And Chris Weber's controlling the experience, as always. And a happy Monday to all of you. The day before tax day, although not really, because if you've been listening to the newscast, all of Tennessee, we have a tax extension or a deadline extension available to all 95 counties in the state of Tennessee. Per the Internal Revenue Service, as it came down earlier today, that you are offered an extension until November 3rd due to the massive flooding and some of the other issues involving weather-related events over the past several weeks and months. Man-made event is what I want to talk about in the first part of this hour. You ever been to Panama City Beach?
Oh, you know it.
You have?
Oh, yeah. That's the beach I went to growing up.
That was the stomping ground?
Yeah, it was about 3.5 hours from there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. That's right. Hey, how about you, Weaver? Panama City Beach?
I don't believe I've ever been there.
PCB?
Never been to PCB.
PCB is known for its PARTY ability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always been a party joint, and spring breakers have always enjoyed themselves some Panama City Beach. As a matter of fact, other beaches, it's been my experience, and I lived, of course, in Montgomery, and I lived in Birmingham, and I lived in Georgia before then, and living on the eastern side of Georgia, a lot of times you went to the Atlantic Ocean because you didn't know any better, but once you go to the Gulf of America, you never go back.
That's right.
I mean,
not
honestly,
even close.
I mean, it's not. It's not. I mean, you get better waves on the ocean, on the Atlantic Ocean, but it's brown water, and the beaches are not nearly as nice.
No, brown beaches.
And it's brown beaches, brown water, and it's not comparable.
Nope.
So once you go Gulf, you don't go back. You just don't. So a lot of people go down there for the for spring break, or for a spring or summer season. And other beaches have historically, especially in Alabama, Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, they tell people If you want a party, you know where to go. Panama City is right down the road. They don't want any part of it. And they set up their rules appropriately. They don't mind if you come down to have a good time. They don't mind if you come down and have a few. But they don't want what spring break brings. And they've made it clear that they don't want what spring break brings. Well, for the longest time, Panama City Beach has welcomed spring breakers. And they have dealt with what comes along with spring breakers. And I'm talking about, revelry and property destruction and drunkenness and all of that other stuff. With the money comes the bad. Well, apparently it's gotten even too much for Panama City Beach. And I noticed this, and I thought it was pretty funny. I thought I'd share it with you. It is from the police chief of Panama City Beach, Chief J.R. Talamantes. Chief Talamantes offered this on Facebook, on the Panama City Beach Police Department Facebook page. And I have no idea if these thoughts are shared by the city council, if it's shared by the mayor. I have no idea. But when the police chief gets a belly full of it, you know that something has to be. And apparently it got so bad there were shootings. There was widespread property destruction in Panama City Beach. And this has been growing for some time, where these spring break revelers, yeah, that's right, spring break revelers, they can't contain themselves. They're out of control. I've told the story about Orange Beach. If I ever have a rock and roll band, the name of my rock and roll band will not be Wasted Bacon. The name of my rock and roll band will be Orange Beach Sex Hole. And it's because the mayor of Orange Beach one time, years ago, banned the digging of large holes on the beach because it came to his attention that teenagers were digging these large holes and getting in these holes and having makeout sessions in the holes on the beach.
As one would do, I suppose.
As one would do. And so his response was to go ahead and just ban the sex holes from the beach, as he called them.
You can have a regular hole.
You just can't have sex holes.
No sex holes.
No sex holes.
Got it.
This from Chief Talamantes. Dear spring breakers in our community, let me start by thanking those who did things the right way. To the future doctors, nurses, engineers, teachers, and leaders who came here for a break, you're appreciated. You made memories, enjoyed the beach, and showed respect. Most of you went home without problems, and that's exactly how it should be. Now, to the others, the ones who came here to bring trouble. If you came here with guns, bad intention, no respect for this city, we saw you. You thought you could blend in and get away with it. You were wrong. Our officers were ready, and many of you ended up in handcuffs. Some of you fired shots over petty arguments and social media drama. Then the cuffs went on, and the tough act disappeared. Our officers didn't see hardened criminals. They saw scared kids crying in the interview room. TikTok doesn't show that part, but our body cameras do. To our community, here's where I stand. Panama City Beach can no longer be a spring break town. That time is over. Every year we try to manage it. Every year it brings more challenges. I'm not willing to risk the safety of our city to hold on to something that no longer works. Let me be clear. Our law enforcement officers should not be expected to shoulder the burden of an event that no longer aligns with the values or vision of this community. It's unfair to continue placing that weight on the backs of the men and women who serve and protect the city every day. In the coming weeks, we'll be having serious discussions with stakeholders and city leadership about the future of the spring break season. I'm confident they share the same concern. No plan will fix this overnight, but we have to start somewhere. We have to start now. Panama City Beach is a safe, family-focused community. We've worked too hard to build that, and I won't let a group of criminals destroy it. To the good visitors, you'll always be welcome. To the idiots, go somewhere else. Chief J.R. Talamantes, Semper Fi. Good for him. Good for him. Sadly, these things happen from time to time where the elements that don't know how to act, and I think it's home training. I mean, how do you not know how to act? I understand that alcohol is involved in a lot of these situations, but alcohol's been involved for 40 years, 50 years. But if you've not heard, Panama City Beach over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, descended into madness where there were gunshots every night. There were shootouts every night. And sadly, it does ruin it for everyone. I don't blame this guy. I think it's high time that you took a tough love approach. And, oh, by the way, we ought to be doing that in the city of Nashville. I mean, we have plenty of tourists on the regular in the city of Nashville, yet we have a mayor and administration that doesn't seem to take a tough on crime approach in the same fashion that, I mean, maybe John Drake does, I don't know, but Freddie O'Connell doesn't seem to. And I've noticed it over my 3.5 years here. I believe, and I don't go down on Broadway unless there are people in town. I just don't. I mean, right, I did it first because you're new. You want to experience the things that Nashville has to offer. You want to, absorb in the community that you're now a part of. But nowadays, I mean, I go down when people are in town. I go down when there are events that, might necessitate going down to Bridgestone or whatever, but I'm not going downtown otherwise. That said, I've noticed that the city has hardened in the last 3 or 4 years from when I first got there. And I guarantee you folks that have been here 20 or 30 years, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. When the city put it this way, there are people that choose to no longer go to New Orleans for that reason, because New Orleans got hard and got dangerous. And you better watch it before the city of Nashville gets the same way. Jerry is in Murfreesboro with a thought on Democrat cities. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Great. Thanks. That last segment was great with Ben. So I fled the People's Republic of Illinois 3 years ago, and I just don't understand. No matter, I don't know whether it's, we've hit, maybe Nashville's there or getting close there. We've hit that 51% of the threshold of everything that we know. Why so many people still vote Democrat? I don't know if it's the media is covering for them, if it's just maybe they don't pay attention, they're just brain dead. Maybe it's just because we've hit that 51% and they don't care. They want the freebies. But it just amazes me. And Nashville, I'll tell you, a word of wise, after living through it, you better be careful because you don't want what Illinois has.
Well, there's no question. Are you talking mainly in the Chicago area, Jerry?
Chicago's bad enough, but it's the whole state.
Yeah. Well, I think we have enough people to blanch that. But in the city of Nashville, you're right, and Memphis is a fair comparison as well. Local blue leadership, any big city is going to come with a certain amount of crime. Any big city is going to have more crime than the smaller town communities. That's just the nature of being a larger city where, crime comes there, and I get all of that. How you approach it makes all the difference. I saw over the weekend Mount Juliet patrols, right? I live in Mount Juliet, so I'm paying a little more attention to this, but I'm certain that it happens in Gallatin. I'm certain that it happens in Murfreesboro. I'm certain that it happens in Smyrna. I'm certain that it happens in Columbia and Franklin and some of the other surrounding communities, where in Mount Juliet there was a suspicious woman at the MAPCO. Somebody called it in. The cops went over, and she was acting weird. And she was pretending to fix her car. She was obviously not fixing her car. The police interacted with her, and once they started interacting with her, she started acting even weirder, and it turns out she was wanted. She had, warrants wanted for arrest. That's called proactive policing, and that's the way that the police should do it. See something, say something, respond to something, talk to people. If you're not doing anything wrong, go about your merry way. But if you're acting in an odd fashion, that affirmative-style policing works. Mount Juliet also has license plate readers. And look, I'm as much of a civil libertarian. Well, maybe not as much, but I am a civil libertarian. And I do have concerns with the ability for the government of the United States in any form or fashion to surveil us. At the same time, the safety checks that go into place with the license plate readers, I'm comfortable with those safety checks. And the city of Nashville ought to be utilizing this technology right now, today, not tomorrow, next week, next year, today. And they could be today. They already authorized it, for goodness sake. They simply can't get it done. In the meantime, people get shot every day, carjackings every day. People get robbed on a daily basis. And you know what happens when they go to Mount Juliet? They get caught. They get caught because Mount Juliet has the technology that Nashville could have. And I bring Mount Juliet up because it is my adopted hometown currently. But it's just one example of the rural communities policing in a manner that the city of Nashville very well could, but they choose not to. Why? Not because John Drake doesn't want to, not because the police officers themselves don't want to, because of politics. And that's a sad, dang state of affairs. 615-737-9986, 21 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, what are the threats that bugs pose to your property? Well, J.K. and Erica Brister know. U.S. Pest knows. They can cause disease. They can cause property damage. It is imperative that you ensure that any threat pest infestation is dealt with quickly, efficiently, promptly. Threat pests can infiltrate your home in a variety of different ways. They can directly or indirectly cause destruction. We're talking about spiders. We're talking about brown recluses, bed bugs. There was a time when we had eradicated bed bugs in the United States of America. Now, sadly, they are back, and that's not what you want to be cuddling up against tonight. They're notoriously difficult to eradicate, and their bites make an infestation a nightmare scenario for Tennessee homeowners. It is time to make sure that you don't have to worry about bed bugs or ticks or spiders or roaches or mosquitoes, and all of that can be protected through our friends at U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest offers a free pest inspection for those of you interested, and ask them about their switchover deals where they will switch you over and save you money in the process if you're currently with another pest control provider. Because if you're with somebody else, you're not with the best. You're not with U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com or 590-1260. 615-590-1260. Tell them Murphy sent you to U.S. Pest. You know, it's Holy Week for those who celebrate, and for many of us, it culminates not just with a celebration of life on Sunday and eternal life on Sunday, but also with a big meal, a big feast. And if you're worried about that holiday feast, at least the spicing portion of that feast, I've got a solution. Savory Spice. For any and all of your big meal needs, they have them at Savory Spice. I bet you they got those little cloves. You know those little cloves? I don't even know what they're called. Those little things that go in the ham. You know what I'm talking about? That spice up that. Ooh, They're so tasty. They're so delicious. They have them. I would almost guarantee it at Savory Spice. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but when you walk into Savory Spice off the square in Franklin, you talk to Holly or David or one of the crew, say, hey, Matt Murphy sent me for those little doodabbers that go into the ham. Do you have those? And they'll point you in the right direction. Any of your other spice needs, they've got those as well at Savory Spice. I don't know my way around the kitchen very well, but I know where I go for all my spices that we need in our household, and that's the one and only Savory Spice. Stop by, say hello, and fill your cart with deliciousness from Savory Spice.
Murder outside a Nashville elementary school today, and a body recovered from the Cumberland River this afternoon. These stories and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, thank you, Ken Weaver. We mentioned that there was a, relatively speaking, controversial passage in the Tennessee State House today. I'm about to tell you about that. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to speak with Senator Jack Johnson. Although this did not happen in the Senate today, it did happen in the House of Representatives. This bill had already been passed in the Senate. It is House Bill 855. It was sponsored by State Representative Lee Reeves of Franklin, whom we had on the show, a week ago or so? The Tennessee State House passed this bill, which would prohibit counties from using the caucus system, which is considered inferior to the primary system by yours truly and many others. It has been historically opposed by Republicans. It is now no longer, at least if this bill is signed by the governor, it will not be able to be utilized for candidate selection for county-level races. Amending, and I'm reading from the Tennessee Star here, and kudos to the authors at Pappert. Yeah, Tom Pappert. Amending existing Tennessee law to include county offices among those which candidates must be nominated through a traditional primary election. It is already required for state and federal offices. The legislation passed with 60 votes in favor, 25 against. The state Senate passed its version, Senate Bill 799, with 27 votes in favor and 3 against. Speaking on the House floor, Reeves argued enshrining primary elections will make it easier for Tennesseans to engage in the political process at the grassroots level. Opponents, including State Representative Scott Sapicki and Monty Fritz, asked Reeves to comment on the recent resolution opposing his legislation by the Republican State Executive Committee. Reeves told Sapicki, I will stand with the voters, the mom and dad who can't make it to the caucus. I'll stand with the military member who is on active duty overseas, defending our right to vote but unable to participate in the caucus. I will stand with the emergency workers who are on duty that night. I will stand with a pregnant mother giving birth on the night of the caucus. All of which is true, by the way. Those people would not be able to participate in the caucus. You have to be at a caucus. You have to attend, and it is exclusionary by definition. By definition. In response to a similar question from Fritz, he added, I will stand with voters over party insiders any day of the week. A total of 23 Republicans were joined by 2 Democrats, State Representative Antonio Parkinson and Gabby Salinas, in their votes against the legislation. Republicans who voted against the bill included Barrett, Bolso, Capley. Well, I could go over the numbers, but there's a lot of them. There's 25 of them. The legislation, look, I would be very curious if there are some of you that are upset by this. This will have impact in the recent Williamson County elections, and I don't think there's any doubt that this is in response to that, right? So in Williamson County, this Elevate 2025 group that took over the local Republican Party in Williamson County, once again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Republican. But this local group by all accounts, wants to go to caucus instead of primaries, and they want to do that to benefit a couple of people who've been trying to win elections for a while and haven't been able to, namely Gary Humble of the Tennessee Stands organization. And Gary thinks he has a bet. I'm just laying it out where the goats can graze on it. Once again, it is a fact. What I'm telling you are facts. Gary controls Elevate 2025, and he's doing it for his purpose to try to get a caucus because he thinks that gives him a better opportunity to load up the room with people who are his supporters to get him on the ballot and to win a ballot to become a candidate for a public office. And so this is a response, and it's, call it what you will, insider politics or whatever. This is a response to all of that. 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Metro Police issuing an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide and the death of his estranged wife today. Police say 52-year-old Nayurka Alfonso Acevedo was stabbed to death after she had arrived to work this morning at Chadwell Elementary School in Madison, where she was a custodian. Classes were temporarily moved to the former Graymar Middle School on Joyce Lane, but classes will resume at Chadwell tomorrow with grief counselors present. And a body has been recovered from the Cumberland River by Cheatham County authorities. Chapmansboro Road in Ashland City was near the Sycamore Recreation Boat Ramp. Officials have not identified the body yet. News 2 says it spoke to the lead investigator at the scene who said the heavy rain over the last few weeks has elevated river levels, posing a risk to residents.
It's starting to go down, but it's still up, and the river's actually still rolling pretty good out there. And so, yeah, you got to be careful out there. If you're going to be on the lake this weekend or on the river, absolutely use precautions. A lot of floating debris out there right now.
Over at the state capitol, no votes in the House today on that undocumented students bill that would allow schools to unenroll or charge tuition to illegal immigrant students. Hundreds of protesters had marched downtown to pressure lawmakers to kill it, but the bill was taken off the calendar ahead of any vote. Protesters say they'll be back when there is a vote. And the president of El Salvador telling reporters in the Oval Office he will not send back the man the U.S. sent to his country last month, despite an immigration judge's order that says the man's deportation should not go through back to his home country.
In court, the administration has said to the extent it's willing to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it would eliminate any barriers to entry on the U.S. side. But in the Oval Office, Attorney General Pam Bondi said this.
If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
In court, the administration has acknowledged it made a mistake in violating an immigration judge's order when it sent the man back to his native country. But according to top Trump aide Stephen Miller,
nobody was mistakenly deported anywhere.
Yeah, Miller says that admission was made by a government lawyer who's now been taken off of the case, a man Miller now calls a saboteur. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound after Briley Parkway South. In Madison, the on-ramp partially blocked from Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway to go northbound on 65. And then on I-24, you've got in Laverne, a disabled vehicle is blocking the left lane. This is going to be 24 eastbound at Waldron Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
When you are ready for an incredible customized pole barn, a building like you have never imagined, you are ready for Stoltzco. Stoltzco prides themselves on producing higher quality buildings at more reasonable prices than anyone else in the industry today. They are the go-to custom solution in Middle Tennessee. Friends, they're the leading company in the creation of post-frame buildings. They take their pride in providing those high-quality customized structures at reasonable prices. We're talking about pole barns. We're talking about garages. We're talking about foundations in concrete, equestrian spaces, event spaces, and yes, we're talking barn dominiums. Matter of fact, when I sat down with Stoltzco, I learned the difference between, for example, a barn dominium and just a garage, or a barn dominium and traditional construction, and it can save you incredible amounts of time and money, and the structures look awesome. Go to stoltzco.com to find out more. That's stoltzco.com. STOLTZCO.com for more information, or call 615-622-5992, 622-5992. And when you do, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Stoltzco. A couple of notes. I think we have Jack Johnson coming up via phone. I just delivered him the hotline number, so he should be calling in around 6:05 tonight. And he can clarify this, but several of you have asked, what about, there are certain counties that are currently on a caucus system. I don't think this affects them. I think they were grandfathered in. I think it affects any future attempt to create a caucus system within the counties. So just to clarify, because I don't believe I artfully explained what this bill would do. It would require that counties stay on the primary system, and they could not move to a caucus system because it is generally believed that a primary system is a superior way of getting a robust vote in any given community. Some are asking, well, if you say that this is in response to the Williamson County situation, how does that affect that? Well, Williamson County just voted to elect Republican leadership for the Republican Party in Williamson County. And there is a challenge ongoing with the state Republican Party. I don't have any dog in that fight. There are some that are saying that the votes weren't counted properly, that it didn't happen right. I don't know, and that'll be figured out. But this bill does not have any impact on what happened in that voting process. What it will do, it will prevent any future attempt by Williamson County to go to a caucus. So any effort by anyone in Williamson County underway to go to a caucus-style system will be stopped if this were to be put into place. I hope that answers your question. We'll circle back to that. We'll continue the conversation about statewide politics coming up with Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, and that is just after 6 o'clock. But right now, You've heard Ken Weaver delivering the headlines. You've heard me as I opine on said same. It's now time to find the nincompoops in the new.
Nincompoops in the new.
That's right. A favored segment of the Matt Murphy Radio Show begins right now at 20 minutes until the top of the hour as we have 3 full days, a Saturday, a Sunday, and a Monday of nincompoopery to choose from.
Right.
There's a lot of nincompoops out there in the world, and there's Chris Webber, there's Ken Weaver, and there's Matt Murphy to pick them. Hello, man.
Hello.
How about you?
How's it going, Ken?
Going good.
By the way, Ken, how much does it cost to like and subscribe on the Talk TV thing?
Absolutely nothing, boys. Yes.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that in earlier. I like it. So it is time for nincompoops in the news. Y'all want me to go first? I will.
If you
I
wish.
can. I mean, I feel like I go last a lot. So I try to. We need a system. What do y'all think about that?
I think we have a system.
Oh, which is we.
Yeah, well, whoever just goes first.
Just somebody.
goes first.
Oh, okay, sure.
How about we draw straws?
Okay, well we can. All right, here we go.
I've got a pen.
I got one too.
Bet you I can draw one better than you.
That's not a straw. That's a stick.
Okay, here.
Well, actually, I can't find a piece of paper.
Okay, hold on.
All right. Murphy's going to win.
Is that better?
All right.
Well, you put that in the cup.
I did. Come on, it's in the cup.
That disqualifies it.
I win. All right, I'm going first. So, in the spirit of Tax Day, which is tomorrow. Now, I picked this before we became aware that we have an extension going on.
Yes, sir.
We do have an extension going on. You can extend your tax deadline to November 3rd if you wish in all counties in the state of Tennessee. But if you think your tax situation is rough, may I point to you to ancient Rome? Okay. Because as bad as it might be, did you know that ancient tax fraudsters in Rome got fed to the lions? Nice. Well, I didn't know that until recently. A newly decoded 1,900-year-old papyrus. That's paper.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you not on
fancy paper.
Yeah, fancy scroll. Just like that. Shows how 2 fellas tried to game the system. These are the nincompoops, by the way. 2 fellas tried to game the Roman tax system and learned the hard way that imperial Rome did not mess around with tax cheats. As in getting eaten alive by leopards, not messing around. The scroll, which sat gathering dust in an Israeli archive until 2014, spills the tea about 2 finance bros named Gadalaeus and Saulius. Gadalaeus and Saulius. Gadalaeus and Saulius cooked up a scheme to attempt to dodge their taxes on their slaves.
Okay.
Yes, contrary to liberal belief, there was slavery. Anyway. So their brilliant plan was this. They were going to fake selling the slaves across provincial borders so they vanish from the tax rolls so they don't have to pay taxes on their slaves anymore, but then they were going to keep the slaves.
Pretty slick.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
As the New York Times reports, historian Amy Delago cracked the case hidden in the ancient court documents. And holy mother, the punishments of these tax dodging bros make the IRS look like a support group. We're talking exile, hard labor in the salt mines, or if the judge was feeling extra spicy, public execution via wild animal.
Goodness.
If the Roman judge was convinced that these were hardened criminals, Gadalaeus was a member of his local civic elite, he might have received a more merciful death by decapitation. But Saulius most certainly was fed to the leopards.
Wow. Leopards.
So just maybe stop complaining about your TurboTax subscription next time or your $347 you had to pay to the federal tax man when considering poor Gadalaeus and Saulius. They're both dead now because they tried to cheat the tax man.
Well,
Gadalaeus.
Maybe both dead now anyway. I wonder how they got caught.
Well,
that's the story I want to know.
I mean, they had 40 slaves, and they said, well, we sold 10 of those slaves, so we don't have to pay the tax on that. And so the Roman guys probably came around and counted, Chris.
Did the head count, huh?
The old head count on them. So I see 40 in the field over there, Saulius.
No, they're just moving around a lot. Hard to count. They're busy. Working hard.
Oh, Galileus.
Had to pick up extra shifts since we sold off those 10.
Galileus and Sawyus.
Galileus said, I didn't do it. Sawyus did it.
It was all
It was all Sawyus. Feed Sawyus to the
He
leopards.
forced me to, actually.
I'm a part of the civic elite. Mr. Weaver, your nincompoop.
All right, boys, here we go. Deputies say naked, drunk, yelling man was arrested for sexual assault in upstate South Carolina.
Ooh.
Now, I hope I'm pronouncing this county the proper way. The Oconee County Sheriff's Office.
Oconee.
Went to find Oconee.
Yeah.
Went to find a man they said was accused of sexually assaulting a woman on Monday. They found him drunk, naked, and yelling. 35-year-old Taylor Judson Hutcherson, arrested Monday morning, charged with 1 count of indecent exposure, assault and battery, public disorderly conduct, criminal sexual conduct. According to the sheriff's office, Hutcherson and a woman were walking from Atlanta to Greenville, and they stopped at a convenience store in Oconee County for food and water, then went to set up a camp near I-85. During the course of their stay, Hutcherson apparently got lively with the woman and apparently picked up a stick and tried to hit her with it. The woman ran from the camp to a nearby business who called law enforcement. When sheriff's deputies arrived, they found Hutcherson yelling and naked. They said he appeared to be under the influence of alcohol. Mm-hmm. Paramedics were called for a health check on both Hutcherson and the woman. The woman was transported to the hospital for further medical evaluation and treatment. Hutcherson was arrested and given a $36,345 secured bond.
So, first off, how astute of the police that they figured that he was drinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always there are signs for it.
Yeah, drunk and naked and yelling.
Yes.
That would be it. Number 2, at first I'm confused, like you couldn't find anything better than a stick. But if you're naked, I guess you don't have any pockets.
No. I mean, you gotta find what you can grab.
You got something handy. Not that we condone any of that.
No, sir.
On the Matt Murphy Show.
I'm pulling back a little bit on this. It said they were walking from Atlanta to Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes.
That's 150 miles if you're in a car on the interstate.
That's quite the jaunt.
That's not.
What's going on here?
And they apparently made it to Oconee County.
In South Carolina.
In South Carolina.
That's a pretty fur piece from Atlanta.
Wow.
That's across the border. My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I suppose. Well, kind of feel bad for the fellow.
I don't know that I've ever wanted to have gotten so inebriated that I wanted to just take my clothes off. I don't think I've ever gotten to that point.
I'm pretty sure I haven't.
I mean, I'm not saying I ain't never taken some clothes off before. But it's never a situation where I got to come out of all these clothes right now.
Yeah.
It's just so hot.
I guess I'm just
so hot.
I guess I'm just a lightweight, as they say.
I'm just notice I haven't said, "Oh, no, me either, fellas."
I was waiting on you to comment.
Not me, boys.
Not me, boys. Speaking of this weekend, yes, Mr. Weber, your nincompoop.
Mine comes from North Dakota. The now former mayor of Minot, North Dakota, just a little small city there, gentleman by the name of Tim Ross, pulled himself out of office after a short sexual harassment investigation into the lewd video that he sent to a female city attorney in January. He says, quote, "I do take responsibility for this mistake. I tried to immediately correct it and was unable. The decision I made falls in line with all my work on behalf of the city of Minot. I put my heart and soul into this community." Well, City Attorney Stephanie Stahlheim told investigators that she had spoken to Ross about a police officer's suicide just minutes before she received a video of the mayor going to town on himself.
Oh.
Why do you think anybody...
He tried to put the jack back in the box, but by saying that he recorded the sexy video for his girlfriend on his lunch break and requested the attorney delete the smut and keep the entire incident just between the two of us.
I know what's going to make my gal real happy.
He later told investigators that his girlfriend's name also begins with the letter C, which is why the vulgar vid was mistakenly sent to a contact saved as city attorney.
That's what they all say, yeah.
Yeah, she filed a sexual harassment report, and 2 weeks later, filed the report, asked for a formal apology from the mayor, and requested he consider resigning. And she said the investigation found that Ross, quote, directly caused Stahlheim's inability to work in an environment free from unreasonable sexual harassment and created an offensive work environment.
Fellas, you know what she wants to see. I'll tell you. Well, no, that's what she wants to. I just don't understand, even if he's telling the truth.
Oh, you mean his girlfriend?
Yeah, I mean, right? He's sitting around with a couple of the buddies having some beers. Y'all know what I'm going to do later on tonight? I'm going to send out a little video. That'll get her. I mean, who? She'll love it. She's going to love that.
Here's
a hot tip. She's not going to love that. Even if she loves you, she's not going to love that.
Probably not.
No. Well, there you go. There's our three nincompoops in the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Sandra says Minot is the worst place to be stationed in the Air Force.
Minot.
So, Minot?
Yeah.
Minot?
Minot.
Not Minot. Minot.
Yeah.
My bad. All right, there you go. You can vote. 615-737-9986. 52 after the hour on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and you know what? Things have become a little bit unreliable these days. I mean, sadly, it's true. I mean, somebody tells you, hey, it's going to be ready at 4, and it's not ready at 4. People are tired of that kind of thing. So, I'll be there at 2, and you're not there till 4:30. I mean, people are tired of that, too. Listen, if you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair, come to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. At Eurofix, they have your vehicle ready when it's really ready, so you don't have to stand around waiting. Eurofix also repairs all European cars with quality that simply beats the dealer without dealer pricing. Dealer repair shops design themselves to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead. That's a lot of money. Why would you want to pay for all of that? Plus, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty, a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Call ahead on those loaner cars. They're incredibly popular. But if you're tired of unreliable auto repair shops, come to where it's reliable. Come to Eurofix. They've been family-owned for 26 years. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
A warrant issued for a man police say stabbed his estranged wife to death outside a Nashville elementary school this morning. This story and more at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, thank you much, Mr. Weaver. I'm counting up the votes. It's a tight race. Several people saying that all three of us are nincompoops because we missed the nincompoop of the weekend.
Oh, man, what did we miss?
Nico Ilimaliava.
Oh, yeah. I want $4 million.
Oh, do you now?
I bet you do, sir.
You know what? I think I'll try that. Maybe if you think I can shake down the front office down there?
You might get the same answer that he got from the vault.
But I would. Well, that's you know what, and I mean this from the bottom of my Georgia Bulldog heart. I'm not. Don't make me laugh, Ken. Stop it. Stop it. I mean it. Thank you, Coach Heupel. I mean, I really do mean that. I know it sounds self-serving, but at some point you got to take a stand and say no, right?
Yeah, this ridiculousness has gotten out of hand.
I mean, in all seriousness, it is insane. I mean, I think this is the third year of full-fledged NIL collectives that the school is supposed to have no part of, but obviously the schools control them. And in 3 years, we've gotten to a point where, no offense to you Tennessee fans, but a middle-of-the-road SEC quarterback, at best, is demanding $4 million a year. And so Coach Heupel, on the part of the rest of the SEC and the rest of college football fans in the United States of America, thank you for saying, why don't you go take your talents on down the road? We'll be fine at the University of Tennessee. Nothing comes before the T. Good for you, Coach. And Nico, good luck. Hope you do well out west. It is 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police have issued an arrest warrant charging 54-year-old Candido Raul Rubio Perez with criminal homicide in the death of his estranged wife, 52-year-old Niurka Alfonso Acevedo. The woman was attacked right after arriving to work at Chadwell Elementary School in Madison this morning. That's where she's a custodian. Police say Rubio Perez was waiting for her to get there. She was killed when she arrived. He is on the run. Right now in Tennessee, no vote today on the undocumented students bill in the House. It was removed from the calendar today. The bill allows school districts unenroll or charge tuition to enroll illegal immigrant students. Channel 4's Brandon Tierney says hundreds of protesters had marched downtown.
It shows the power of the community, not just the immigrant community, but the whole Tennessee community. A lot of people are standing against this bill simply because they see the harmful impacts that will come long term.
Groups came in from Memphis, Knoxville, and even other states to show their support for the immigrant community. And they say they will be back up here at the Capitol whenever the bill does come up for a vote.
No word on when that will be. Harvard University refusing to comply with President Trump's executive order banning DEI hiring practices, potentially risking billions of dollars in federal funding. In a letter on Monday, Harvard University President Alan Garber said the school, quote, will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights by agreeing to a series of terms proposed by the Trump administration, including DEI, adopt merit-based emissions, and cooperate with immigration authorities, or risk losing $9 billion in federal funding. Harvard's the first school to push back against funding threats made by the Trump administration when it comes to DEI. And the president of El Salvador telling reporters in the Oval Office that he won't send back the man the U.S. sent to his country last month, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, whom the Trump administration says was a member of MS-13, a charge that Garcia and his family deny. Overall, the administration arguing one thing about the case in court, but many other things in public, says Stephen Portnoy.
In court, the administration has said to the extent it's willing to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it would eliminate any barriers to entry on the U.S. side. But in the Oval Office, Attorney General Pam Bondi said this.
If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
In court, the administration has acknowledged it made a mistake in violating an immigration judge's order when it sent the man back to his native country. But according to top Trump aide Stephen Miller,
nobody was mistakenly deported anywhere.
Yeah, Miller says that admission was made by a government lawyer who's now been taken off the case, a man Miller now calls a saboteur. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Glencliff, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound after Briley Parkway South. In Madison, TDOT says 65 northbound got a crash, Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway, exit 90AB. And then in Laverne, TDOT reporting a disabled vehicle blocking the left lane 24 eastbound at Waldron Road. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we are, and here we go. It's the final hour of the Monday edition of the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thanks for being around, whether you're listening on 99.7 FM, perhaps on a variety of apps. We have so many different applications that you can listen on, whether it's iHeartRadio or Spotify or TuneIn. Of course, we have our own Download that app, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Take us wherever you go. And then, of course, there's SuperTalk TV, the one and only SuperTalk TV. I say the one and only. There's 4 different platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Join us there, and you can watch the proceedings. I don't know why you would want to watch someone as ugly as me do a radio show, but many of you do, and I'm so appreciative of that. 615-737-9986. That's 615-737-9986. This is interesting. Oh, no, I'm going to have to pre-read this one. It's the lengthiest text message that I've ever gotten about my Facebook hack. Apparently, several of you have been hacked on Facebook as well. Well, welcome to the club. Let me assure you, if they do that 2-factor authentication like they did to me, you won't be getting in anytime soon, no matter how much you verify that you are who you say you are. Although at some point, they just let you back in because they got to keep selling advertising, I suppose. In the meantime, Jack Johnson joins us. He is Senate Majority Leader in the Tennessee General Assembly to talk about activity today and over the course of the week and when we might expect the General Assembly to wrap up their work for this session or this year. Senator Johnson, good afternoon. Welcome.
Hey, Matt. Good to be with you again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. It's my understanding, I know this happened in the other body, but today probably the biggest activity, you tell me if I'm wrong here, involved the House agreeing with the Senate. I believe the Senate had already passed SB 799, and the House has now passed 855. This would make primaries our way of doing business when it comes to political activity amongst. Is this only a Republican thing, or is it for the Democrats as well, Jack?
No, it is for any partisan election for county office, and just to refresh, Matt. So current statute already requires that primaries be held for state Senate, state House, United States Congress, United States Senate governor, those types of races. But parties are, under current law, allowed to, instead of having a primary where any member of a party can come vote, can call for a caucus, which means you have to go to a certain place at a certain time on a certain day. And so what we did is, we use this term frequently in government, we codified existing practice. We said that any county that's doing a primary now, and over 70 of our 95 counties have partisan races and do a primary. So we just said, if you're doing that, you need to keep doing that. If you're doing a caucus, and we have some small rural counties that are doing caucuses, they are grandfathered under the law. But we need to make sure that anyone who's a Republican or Democrat and wants to pick their party's nominee for county mayor or sheriff or county clerk is able to participate in that election.
What differences, if any, are there between the two bills?
None. The House today, Representative Lee Reeves, who's been on your show talking about this, he conformed to the Senate bill, and it passed rather decisively, and so it's now headed to the governor's desk.
You expect him to sign it, I suppose?
I do. I very much believe that he will.
And for those in your home county of Williamson, there's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter around Williamson County about newly elected leadership. And this obviously is not going to impact that leadership in any way, but it will impact how they are allowed to move forward in terms of how they form the structure under which they vote.
That is correct. This legislation did absolutely nothing to affect the way we elect party leadership, and I don't know for certain that the Williamson County Republican Executive Committee would have chosen to do away with the primary and go to a caucus. I think there are some who advocate for that, but I think that's the wrong direction to go. And we've talked about this. If you're in the military and you're deployed overseas, you don't get to participate because you can't be there to show up for that caucus. If you're a first responder, a firefighter, a police officer, or you're an emergency room nurse and you happen to have to work a shift on the day of that caucus, you are disenfranchised. And that's not what we do as Republicans. We want Republicans to be able to come and pick their party's nominee. And if the Democrats wish to hold a primary to nominate someone for any of those offices, they should be able to do so as well. But we don't need to go back to kind of Tammany Hall-style politics where a handful of people gather and pick party nominees. That's the way it used to be done, potentially rife with corruption. Our primaries are run by our election commissions. Tennessee is number one in the nation for election integrity, so we need to keep the system we have.
There is a debate ongoing on the floor of the General Assembly regarding the ability to bar attendance or charge tuition for the children of illegal aliens in the state of Tennessee. And I don't know if I'm saying that exactly correctly, but I want you to speak to this. It is an attempt, in my opinion, to directly ask the Supreme Court whether or not it wants to revisit the concept of Plyler v. Doe, which was a 1982 Supreme Court ruling that indicated that the states may not prevent the education of kids based on the status, their legal status. Where are we in this process? And do I have it right that this is an effort to get this in the courts to ask the question of whether or not we need to revisit it, especially considering, Jack, that in the past 4 years, sadly, we've just seen so much illegal alien activity across the United States of America, including here in the state of Tennessee. It's become quite a financial burden on the state, particularly considering that many of these children are not English speakers.
You hit the nail on the head, Matt, and you're right. And for historical context, 1982, there was a case that went to the United States Supreme Court, and it's called Plyler v. Doe, and it came out of Texas. What Texas decided in 1982 is that if you are in the country illegally, if you're a child and you're not in the country legally, that you should be treated similarly to how you might treat a child who is out of the zone. And districts do that in Tennessee today, and they did it in Texas. If you live in a neighboring county and you wish to cross county lines and attend a different school district, and that county allows that, they can charge you tuition because you don't pay property taxes in that particular county. And so pretty reasonable, I think, proposal. Well, it was challenged in the Supreme Court. Now, what I want your listeners to know, Matt, is at that time, estimates are that there were 3 million illegal aliens in the United States of America. 3 million. Now, look at where we are today. We don't know how many, but it's easily in the multiple tens of millions of illegal immigrants, due in large part to the failures of the Biden administration during the 4 years he was in office, but not exclusively to that. It's been a big problem for a number of years. And so I'm a co-sponsor of the legislation. Senator Bo Watson is the prime sponsor, along with William Lamberth in the House. And it does exactly what you said. It is permissive on local districts to say you are allowed under state law to charge tuition to the families of children who wish to attend your school who are not in the country legally. And we have run the numbers on this, Matt, and we don't know exactly, and that's part of the problem, is we don't know how many people are in our state or even in our country illegally, and that's a big problem in and of itself. But best estimates are you're somewhere in the 80 to 90,000 kids in Tennessee schools that are in the country illegally. Many of them, not necessarily all, but many of them are non-English speakers. And our Department of Education people tell us that to educate one of those children during a given school year costs an additional $3,500. Now, the average for a child in Tennessee is probably around $11,000, $12,000, and that's for all kids. Add another $3,500 to that, and you multiply it by the number of kids. You're well over $300 million that it is costing Tennessee taxpayers to teach these kids. It is perfectly reasonable to have legislation to say that districts can permissively, we don't require it, but pass a policy to say you can charge those families. Number one, ascertain their legal status, and if it's determined they're not in the country legally, then you can charge tuition. Now, the bill will be challenged. It is if it becomes law, it's highly likely that it will be enjoined based on that Plyler decision. We are hopeful that the court will ultimately revisit this decision. Now, last thing I want to say on this, Matt, is I think every child ought to be educated. A child should not be punished for the sins of their parents. And as long as I'm in office, I will do everything I can. If it means that the state needs to step up to the plate, if families can't afford to pay that tuition, then perhaps we need to find ways, think creatively in public-private partnerships to create some scholarships to help these kids get educated. But we need to address, because of that decision, we are forced to turn a blind eye to this problem and treat every child, regardless of their immigration status or legal status in the country, all the same. And that's unfair to our school districts. It's unfair to the taxpayers of Tennessee.
Well, and it's a problem that we didn't ask for in the state of Tennessee. Sadly, it was exacerbated over the last 4 years, and we are left to deal with it. And these are some of the hard ways that we have to deal with these issues. And I don't begrudge you having to make these decisions. And obviously, you're sensitive to the plight of the children. They had, in a lot of ways, in many cases, they had zero to do with this, but at the same time, their parents did. And so we've got to deal with that in our state. The IVF legislation, I believe that it passed unanimously in the Senate, did it not?
I believe so. I'd have to go back and check.
Well, but I mean, I think it's passed, and it's just codifying under the law. I don't believe that there are any issues with availability to in vitro fertilization in the state of Tennessee, but this is just making sure that there won't be any issues down the road.
That's exactly right. I think it's largely preemptive. In some of the different conversations we've had about this particular subject matter, there have been some false information that's been disseminated out there about IVF. We want any family that needs it, that is experiencing difficulty in having children, to have access to it, and that shouldn't get clouded by any of the conversations we've had about our staunch belief that we should protect the sanctity of life.
Is there any concern, Jack, and I know this is really very technical, but is there any concern that those two issues kind of come to loggerheads under the law because traditional approaches to IVF might include the creation of embryos that never go used? And it's my understanding that under current law in the state of Tennessee, that once an embryo is considered a person with rights. Does my question make sense?
It does, and you've brought up a complicated subject matter that warrants very, very careful, thoughtful consideration about where these two things. I believe in the sanctity of life, and I believe life begins at conception. And so, but at the same time, I do want families to be able to utilize the technology to be able to have children utilizing, the miracles of medical technology. And so it's that balancing act, and that's what we're trying to address right now. And because I think you can believe in both. I think you can believe in protecting the sanctity of life, but you also support medical science.
Well, and what I'm concerned about is that people that do not want our laws to be what they are with regard to the sanctity of life are going to try to use it against us, use the IVF legislation against us, is my fear.
And I think you're spot on with that. And there are some who I think intentionally do try to cloud the message and allege hypocrisy. And we certainly don't want to be hypocrites, but I think you can do both. And that's part of the conversation we're having.
Speaking of hypocrisy, I couldn't help myself. Speaking of hypocrisy, let's talk about taxing. No, I'm just kidding. You knew I had to get you on the vape bill. So we planned on Senator Ken Yeager last week, and I had a good conversation offline with Senator Yeager. We were unable to do that. I guess I think storms knocked us off.
Weather,
it was the weather.
Yes, I remember.
But the Senate eventually passed the vape bill. Are you comfortable with the vape bill as it? I mean, I guess it's getting debated currently in the House. Some business owners say it goes way too far. They don't have a problem with cracking down on underage kids buying these things and cracking down on those that would sell them. They think maybe it goes too far in terms of taxation. What say you, Jack?
Well, I think, and by the way, I've talked to dozens of constituents that are in the business or, supporting and opposing this. I think some really good, productive conversations. And I don't think the conversation is necessarily over even with this legislation. I recognize that vaping, I don't vape, I don't smoke. But I recognize that vaping for some people is an alternative, and perhaps might be a better from a health situation than smoking. And there's some people, and I think if you're an adult and you want to vape, you ought to be able to vape. I share your libertarian-leaning tendencies in that regard. But we do have an issue in what Senator Yeager, and I hope you can get him on because this is an issue he has studied forwards and backwards, and I've great respect for Senator Yeager, is that there are some of these products that have gone through an FDA type of process, and I don't put a lot of faith in the FDA or the federal government, to be clear, but there are also a lot of these products that people use, chemicals and things that they use in these products that are being shipped in from China with little to no oversight or regulation or anything like that. So I think there's a health component on that. And regarding the taxing, we had a lengthy conversation about that as well. And as it's explained to me by our finance folks, is that on a per unit equivalent. So if you take a cigarette versus the equivalent of that in a vape product, we're taxing vape less than we tax cigarettes. I know we tax cigarettes at 62 cents a pack. And when you break it down, we're taxing it lower than we tax cigarettes. Now, are we taxing it at the right rate? I'm with you. I'm not a fan of taxes, but I do think taxes ought to be fair and equitable. And so that's part of the conversation. And they're still talking about it in the House, and there may be some modifications made. And Senator Yeager is a very reasonable person. And if it comes back to us in a modified form, we're happy to take another look at it.
Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson with us talking about activity in the General Assembly today and otherwise. Anything I'm missing in the Senate? What did you guys accomplish today, Jack?
Well, I have two bills that I'm really excited about, Matt, and they were calendared for today's floor session. We did not get to those. They're rolled to tomorrow, and I expect to take them up. But I have two bills, one that's going to, I believe, fully eliminate any element of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, in the state. Two bills, one that deals with any use of DEI relative to employment practices in the state, promotions, hiring, anything like that. We should be hiring people on merit or based on their merit. And then another relative to delivery of services. So, if someone's receiving services from the state, it ought to be based on need. It shouldn't be based on, any immutable characteristic, as is the case. And we're really parroting what President Trump is doing at the federal level. In fact, the executive order he issued back on January 22nd, I have a copy of it in front of me. I don't think it was nearly as pervasive or rampant throughout state government, but there were elements that were there. And so I'm happy that Tennessee is kind of following in the path of President Trump and making sure we're delivering services and we're hiring and promoting people based on need or merit and not based on any other factor.
Sounds like common sense bills. Man, it must have been a busy day on the floor of the Senate when the Senate Majority Leader had to table his bills.
Well, we had a heavy calendar, and one thing I've learned there is that if after we go for a certain amount of time, it's probably best that we cut it off. People start to get tired and a little chippy at times.
They get hangry down there on the floor.
Right. And so that's okay. We're still going to finish next week, and we've had a really great productive session for the people.
I mean, is the expectation is we're winding down? I mean, how many more days do you think there will be?
Yeah, so the plan is, the big issue obviously is getting the budget passed, and we're making our way through the committee process and plan to have the budget for the next fiscal year on the floor of the Senate and the House, hopefully on Wednesday. One chamber might do it Wednesday and the other on Thursday, and then once that's done, then we come back. It takes us usually 2 to 3 days to clean up issues that are what we refer to as behind the budget. So we'll be out here next week. I don't know if it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday, but we've had a good, productive, efficient session, and unlike Washington, at the state in the General Assembly, we get our work done. We go back home to our communities, our families, our jobs, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Senator, thank you for being so available to the listeners of Super Talk and to us on the Matt Murphy Show. We always appreciate your time, and we'll talk again very soon.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Jack. There's Senator Jack Johnson, good friend of the show, 24 after the hour on Super Talk. Weaver's won awards, but he didn't win Nincompoops today, by the way. I just need to say that. Chris Webber won Nincompoops. Yeah. I forgot to say it, and so I got to say it right now.
I think Chris is on I think he's on the 3 Nincompoops winning streak.
Yeah, he's on a streak there, Weaver. I mean, 3 in a row.
No pun intended.
Three. Yeah, and so I know. I mean, normally the naked stories take care of business, but not so today, my friend.
I'm going to have to change my policy then.
My guy was kind of naked, though.
I think it was the Jack in the Box reference that won it for you, by the way, if I'm to believe the super text line. I believe in these guys, Defense Systems. They know what they're doing, folks. I mean, it's a dangerous world out there. We don't wish negative energy or negative activity on anybody. We don't wish that you will go through a workplace violence situation. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, but it happens every single day in the United States of America. And, it seems like every week or so in the state of Tennessee. If you're a decision maker at a business, at a school, at a church, any place that people gather, you need this in your life. Defense Systems and Brink Fiddler will offer active shooter response, security improvement consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical training, and all of this is customized and designed to fit your life, your facility, and to help protect those employees and those people that gather in your facility. Reach out today at 615-236-6484. That's 236-6484. Go to defensesystems.com. And while you're on the web, head over to godfearinggunowners.com as well. It is their apparel division. Brink Fiddler has another business, godfearinggunowners.com. He likes to remind you that you can go there for all of your apparel needs, defensesystems.com. One more day, friends. The Nashville Safe House is celebrating its 33rd year in the safe and vault business. 33 years of offering the best selection on home safes, gun safes, high security safes, and vault doors. Plus, they offer tornado shelters, biometrics, and the like. Nashville Safe House has over 200 safes on display in their showroom. It's almost like a safe maze. You're like a mouse in the maze, and you're looking at the Brownings and the Fort Knox and the Liberties and all of the rest. Nashville Safe House is the largest Browning dealer in the United States of America, not just in Tennessee. And tomorrow is the last day on their big $400 rebates on select safes. But they're always sales tax free at Nashville Safe House on all of those gun safes. They have huge savings on select models. And the Nashville Safe House has only certified delivery crews delivering your safe to your home. Don't let anybody deliver your safe. Do it with Nashville Safe House. Don't miss the special event. You've got one more day through April 15th. NashvilleSafeHouse.com. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com, or across the street from City Cemetery on 4th Avenue South in Nashville.
6:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Tax days tomorrow for most Americans, but not Tennesseans, due to deadly storms this month. The IRS says Tennessee taxpayers now have until November 3rd, 2025, to file federal, individual, and business tax returns and make tax payments. And over at the state capitol, Tennessee Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson tells WTN's Matt Murphy he's confident Governor Lee will sign the bill that makes primaries the law, not just an option when casting ballots.
We codified existing practice. We said that any county that's doing a primary now, and over 70 of our 95 counties have partisan races and do a primary. So we just said if you're doing that, you need to keep doing that. If you're doing a caucus, and we have some small rural counties that are doing caucuses, they are grandfathered under the law. But we need to make sure that anyone who's a Republican or Democrat and wants to pick their party's nominee for county mayor or sheriff or county clerk is able to participate in that election.
Money News, Chuck Severson.
Wall Street opened the week with a rally after last week's roller coaster ride. Major indexes showed gains after President Trump eased some of his announced tariffs. The Dow was up 312 points at closing. The S&P 500 rose 43 points. The Nasdaq gained 107. Apple, Dell, and other tech stocks led the gains after the White House announced smartphones, computers, and other electronics would be exempt from some of these stiff tariffs on goods from China. In the Oval Office Monday, President Trump told reporters he may also exempt the auto industry from tariffs temporarily to give car makers time to adjust their supply chains. Chipmaker Intel announcing that it is selling a majority stake of its Altera chip business to tech investor Silver Lake in a deal valued at $8.75 billion. Intel acquired Altera for $16.7 billion in 2015, spun it off into an independent company earlier this year.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police are reporting a crash 65 northbound right before Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
When guys reach a certain age, some of the common frustrations heard by Tennessee Men's Clinic include men feeling tired, feeling sluggish, not like themselves, and they assume that it's just a part of the aging process. Gentlemen, it does not have to be this way. Low energy and, dare I say, performance issues, whether it's at the gym or in the bedroom, are not inevitable. Solutions exist. Tennessee Men's Clinic is the difference maker. No guesswork, no gimmicks, just science and treatment. Beware of some of these online fixes, folks. You want to sit down and talk with a qualified urologist. You want to look them face to face. You want to make sure that they have your best interest in mind. And sadly, a lot of the things that are happening online with generic online pills, they are overpriced and they are not effective. Multiple urologists, and they provide tailored solutions specifically to your body and to your goals. You can enjoy, I should say, ED treatments and other options that men don't even know exist. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out more. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Gentlemen, let's get back to life again. Your consultation includes blood work with results before you leave. You got one life. Procrastination can make it worse. Call 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here for USS, which stands for United Structural Systems. It's simple, folks. If you have foundation issues in your home, they're not going to go away. And sadly, they're going to get worse, and it could cost you more money as time progresses. Let's blanch this right now. Let's get with USS, United Structural Systems, to see how they can assist you. Whether it's foundation repair, waterproofing, and oftentimes those things go hand in hand, your home could be at risk, and the health of your family, especially when you're dealing with water issues, moldy or musty crawl spaces. That can seep up into the air that you breathe. It puts your family at risk. Let's eliminate this risk. Let's get peace of mind. Homeowners simply trust USS. Almost 30,000 customers since 1994 have enjoyed USS and the timely precision in which they work. They will fix it, and they will get out of there, and they will take care of their business. USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. They guarantee their best. Call USS at 615-488-7855, 488-7855. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. There was an activity going on in the Tennessee General Assembly. It's a little bit inside baseball. I know for the most part, folks aren't going to notice, but inside baseball that will have impact locally in Williamson County, particularly, as there was a debate about whether or not to continue to allow counties on a county by county basis to move over to caucus systems of voting for the Republican Party. Now, I understand that some of you, and some of you have made this clear over the last half hour or so when we broke the news that the House of Representatives has now passed the same bill passed by the Senate, and it will now go to the governor's desk that will prevent any future activity moving toward a caucus system in the state of Tennessee. So if you're on a primary system, you have to stay on a primary system. Now, what does this mean? It is it means little to most. However, just to give you the inside scoop, it's the bottom line that there were individuals in positions of power in the Williamson County Republican Party that wanted to move Williamson County to a caucus system because certain people who had influence over the Williamson County elected officials, the county party elite, they believed that it would give them a better shot at winning a primary or a caucus in this case. Well, I do not believe in the caucus system above the primary system. Despite the fact that I'm not a part of the Republican Party, I can see where it is fraught with peril. And nobody ever answers, no one from the other side that is in favor of the caucus system seems to want to answer this as a way of doing business. Why is it a good thing to exclude people who, for no reason of their own, cannot attend a caucus? Like pregnant mothers, like those that are serving in the United States military. None of those people would be able to vote in a primary. And once again, this is not my political party. This is their political party, and the political party has spoken as a result of the vote today. So there's a lot of folks that are sucking their thumbs today. A lot of people who wanted to take advantage of a new system in Williamson County are not going to be able to do that. They're frustrated. Maybe it'll give them something to run on. Just another loss for Tennessee Stan's Humble and his crew. They continue to rack them up, despite the fact that Humble and Tennessee Stan's and other parts of his political organization claim that they're in the majority in the state of Tennessee. They continue to lose these fights, and when they lose these fights, they call the majority those that have betrayed the state, despite the fact that the state, we are the ones that voted them into office. In the meantime, I ask you this question. This could have been a nominee for Nincompoops in the News, which, by the way, I mentioned that Chris Webber won 3 in a row. Which is greater, the ignorance or the arrogance of this clip? It's 40 seconds of your life that you'll never get back.
Also, you know, the other way I think you can think about it is that we are, you know, perhaps we are in the downfall of the broken way. This was not built to last. Inequity, injustice is not built to last. It lasts a long time. It could last hundreds of years, but ultimately it crumbles into this, you know, a small cohort of incompetent people that create damage. And from that, something new can spring. And so maybe something is declining right now, but maybe it deserves to decline.
So that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in a very, very dramatic video, including a lot of liberal females, including, who is the purple-haired soccer chick? What was her name? Megan Rapinoe?
Yep.
Is that right? Yes, Megan Rapinoe's in this video shaking her head and smiling, and oh, so good. So what is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about? She's talking about the United States of America. The United States of America, despite the incredible flaws of our country, and obviously no nation has been perfect, ever devised by man. No man, there's only one that I would consider to be perfect, and they nailed him to a cross. However, all they want to do is crap on our system of government. Yet, they cannot point to, I'm going to play this again. Tell me exactly where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would point to is the system that is superior to ours, that treats people with more equality than ours. By the way, it's not about equity. Equity is nasty. Equity is a guarantee of outcomes. And if you guarantee outcomes, regardless of input, that is doomed for failure as a society. Where exactly does she claim? What nation has it better?
Also, you know, the other way I think you can think about it is that we are, you know, perhaps we are in the downfall of the broken way. This was not built to last. Inequity, injustice is not built to last. It lasts a long time. It could last hundreds of years.
So if she, and I understand that I'm trying to diagnose something that by definition makes no sense. So she's saying that we're in the downfall of the broken way, which has lasted hundreds of years, which would be the totality of the existence of the United States of America. So she suggests that the United States of America has never been a good system or a system for good or for the betterment of the world. And while I understand that the system has not worked for every American equitably over the lifetime of our country, on the whole, it's the greatest nation on God's green earth, and it's not even close. So I would love for AOC, and she never puts herself in a position to be challenged in this way, I would love for AOC to explain to me which nation is currently better or better positioned to benefit its population than the United States of America. I mean, my goodness gracious, is she any better example? No matter how dumb you might be, no matter how uneducated you might be, I mean, I suppose one can make an argument that she's talented. She's talented at rallying stupid people to her cause. But for the life of me, I can't figure out what nation she would be talking about that she would consider to be greater than that of the United States of America. But that's not the stupidest clip you're going to hear before we go. That's not the most destructive clip you're going to hear before we go. I want to share with you an interview between, and I forget who the guy on CNN is, but the female is Taylor Lorenz. Taylor Lorenz is a former reporter from the Washington Post, and she got fired from the Washington Post for basically not being very good at her job. She could no longer work there because she did not cite sources, and there were some other things going on. Taylor Lorenz is also fangirling over Luigi Mangione. And she's trying to help us understand why there are so many women out there like her that would fangirl. I want you to consider that this person has a platform and actually influences people on the internet.
Hilarious to see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals, as if we don't have, we don't stand murderers of all sorts, and we give them Netflix shows. There's a huge disconnect between the narratives and angles that sort of mainstream media pushes and what the American public feels. And you see that in moments like this. And I can tell you, I saw the biggest audience growth that I've ever seen, because people were like, oh, some journalist is actually speaking to the anger that we feel.
The women who...
Okay, so you see what she did there? She conflated the feelings of the United States of America with the response that she got on the internet. You can tell who the idiots are based on if they think the internet represents the people. And if Taylor Lorenz thinks that because she got some sort of reaction on the internet, because she was fangirling Luigi Mangione and applauding the fact, I mean, this scumbag, and that's what she is. Anybody that would feel this way is, by definition, a scumbag. You can hate the healthcare industry as much as you want, and apparently Taylor Lorenz does. You can despise the way the healthcare industry does its business and still believe that shooting someone in the back, a father, a husband in the back, is morally evil. Yet she doesn't believe this. She says, I was speaking what people actually feel. I was speaking to the anger that we feel. Well, that doesn't have to include lionizing a murderer.
Anger that we feel.
The women who got her outside court in New York.
So you're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man.
You hear that? This guy that no one knew prior to the events that led to his arrest, a man that no one knew in the United States of America prior to the fact that he shot and killed someone in cold blood, she refers to him as a morally good man.
New York.
So you're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man, which is hard to find.
Yeah, I just realized women will literally date an assassin before they swipe right on me. That's where we are. I'm sure you wouldn't like to be compared to a Trump supporter, but some of how people cannot understand why people have sympathies for Mangione strikes me as the same as a lot of media not understanding why people support Trump.
Okay, so, and then they go on to basically compare someone that shot another man in the back to Donald Trump because, that's what you do. Orange man bad. This is some of the insanity that exists on social media platforms, and just wanted to share it with you, right before dinner. It's 10 minutes until the top of the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I want you to save a date for me. And I know that it seems a while away, about a month and a half now. It is Saturday, May 31st. It is the Glock Store's 5th annual Nashville Open House. It's going to be exciting, friends. Last year was just went gangbusters. I mean, it was such a great event. I enjoyed meeting so many of you, and I'm going to enjoy meeting you this time around as well. Chris Hand will be there. Dan Mandis will be there. Yours truly, Matt Murphy, will be there, and we'd love a chance to meet you, hear what you have to say for a change as opposed to the other way around. I know that I'm supposed to wear my Trump shoes, and maybe I'll be sporting those gold Trump shoes. You never know. Rumor has it that they're going to be giving away multiple Glocks this year. Multiple Glocks? I mean, they gave away an $1,800 Glock last year, customized Glock, just for signing up. They also gave away over $15,000 worth of great goodies, like 25 red dot optics, amongst other things. Friends, this is a deal that you don't want to miss. It's the 5th annual open house. It is a big event. It's an all-day event, 10 to 2, at My Place to Trade and My Place to Shoot. It's the Glock Store. Find out more at glockstore.com or shoot270.com and save the date. May 31st, Saturday from 10 until 2, the 5th annual Nashville Open House, minutes away from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. It's the Glock Store. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Winding down a Monday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. Bill Maher talked about his meeting with Donald Trump. I will not bore you with some of the actualities, the actual audio, but suffice it to say that Maher's not making friends amongst liberals, as he described Trump as reasoned and seemed to think that it was possible to come together. I mean, Bill Maher's been a longtime critic of Donald Trump's, but apparently the get-together that they had at the White House with Kid Rock, I think Dana White was there of UFC, was a positive one. Hey, look, Bill Maher, I've always believed that while Maher is a liberal, and I'm going to disagree with him a vast majority of the time, maybe not even a vast majority of the time, but I will disagree with him more than I agree. Bill Maher is also a reasonable human being that understands crazy when he sees it and is unafraid and is willing to defend his point of view and willing to talk to people, those who he disagrees with. It's a longstanding policy of my show. I'll talk to anybody that's willing to come on the show about any subject matter that I believe is of interest to the listening audience. My measuring stick is this interesting to the audience? And if you have a differing point of view, that's actually a good thing. And so I invite Democrats on the show all the time. Sadly, they rarely accept. In the meantime, a story that we did not get to before now, a man who confessed to setting the fire at the mansion of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro said his family was, quote, not a fan of Trump at a whack job. That was Donald Trump calling him a whack job. Cody Balmer, 38, of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, is currently, quote, receiving treatment at a hospital for a medical event not connected with the incident. According to Pennsylvania State Police, Balmer served in the Army Reserves from 2004 to 2012. He was a construction equipment repairer, had no deployment. He was a sergeant when he left the Army. Balmer has been charged with domestic terrorism, aggravated arson, aggravated assault, criminal homicide, and other counts, according to a criminal complaint unveiled today. While being interviewed by state troopers, Balmer, quote, admitted to harboring hatred toward Governor Shapiro. Told investigators he removed gasoline from a lawnmower and poured it into Heineken bottles that he found in his residence. He's a Heine man. Balmer was first identified by two police, by an ex-lover after he allegedly confessed to her and said he wanted her to call police so that she could turn him in. That is also according to the criminal complaint obtained by Fox News. It was only a short time later that Balmer turned himself in outside of Pennsylvania State Police headquarters. He remains under supervision and will be transported to the prison for arraignment upon his release from the medical facility. He told police that he walked an hour to the governor's mansion with the intention of throwing his homemade Molotov cocktails at the residence. He did it. Apparently, he burned a good portion of the residence, or some, not a good portion. He scaled a perimeter fence, broke 2 windows with a hammer, and threw the Molotov cocktails inside. The suspect allegedly admitted that he was aware it was a possibility that Shapiro and others were home at the time, and he said it was possible that people could have been injured by his actions. Had Balmer come face-to-face with Shapiro, he allegedly said he would have, quote, beaten him with his hammer. Somehow I feel like this story might have taken a different turn or two had the D behind the name been an R, but so be it. I also noted that Carmelo Anthony was released from jail today. If you don't know that name, that is the individual accused of killing Austin Metcalf. I mean, he obviously killed him. Whether or not it was in self-defense will be decided in a court of law by a jury of his peers. His bond was reduced by 75%, from $1 million to $250,000 by a judge out there in Texas, and he was released from jail. Sad to say. He should sit behind bars while he awaits trial. That's going to wrap it up for us. We'll be back tomorrow. Dan Mandis up early at 5 a.m. for Nashville's Morning News. Until next time, friends, have a wonderful evening. Hug your loved ones.